on. Boom. Let me get this off here. A little underdog fantasy graphic. Hold on. Let me see what Steak is saying. Steak is coming in spaces. No, that's fine. Just curious. Okay. Steak is coming in anytime shortly here. And Greg, of course, said his baby is acting up. He's going to be in a little bit later. That's fine. We can never rely on Greg. W newborn, though. He's doing what he can. Weston wants to come up and add himself as a speaker. We love that. Anybody that wants to come up, by the way, feel free. I am also on Twitch and YouTube. Got some heads rolling in here. Holy sellout, kidding. Yeah, you better be kidding. So Corp, what's up? What's up? Yep, get the Corp ones in. Troy, hang tight. Let me just get my bearings straight real quick. I am on the Underdog site right now. Again, I'm getting a little familiar with this. I have the app. Hold on. Leave page. I have the app, which was fairly easy to get familiar with. And then I had to get the, easily collaborate with who you want. Oh, sorry. Twitch just confused me. What is Twitch talking about here? Start collaborating from Stream Manager? I don't know what the fuck it's talking about. That's confusing me. Underdog promo code, #Underdog. I don't have a command for that yet. Screen sharing was canceled. Oh, hold on one second. Let me see. Let me get starting soon out of here. Let's get share screen. Boom. Nope, that's not what I want. What the fuck is going on? Give me a second. I'm going to figure it out. Everything's going to be fine. Share screen. Is this what I want? Hold on. Let's see. Boom. Is that good? There we go. You guys can see what I'm doing. And if you're in the space, then that's fine too. There we go. Hold on. I just got a notification. Okay. Boom. There we go. Steak, I'm going to add you up here. Come on up. All right. I am, again, I'm doing a season-long entry, which you can feel free to tag along, or if you have your own thoughts or, dude, bang. What happened, Nutbuster? If you have your thoughts or your own plays, please feel free to share them. I already have guys that I like. I have season bets that I like. I'm not just going to always just kind of copy those into entries like these. I did one last year, and I really enjoyed it. I did a Prize Picks entry because it was what I had at the time, I think, in Florida. I'm back in New York. It is not Prize Picks is not legal. Underdog is active, which is great. And I really did enjoy the season-long sweat of these parlays. And the reason why I like them season-long bets is one thing you can do is, I talked about this previously, but you can kind of limit your degeneracy. So if you are having a rough day and your sides and totals are not coming in, because I am a big sides and totals guy, on the 1 o'clock games, maybe you have some 4 p.m. action. You don't necessarily need to chase if you've got your players in the night game already invested or in a season prop or a team season future. And again, I always compare this to why I bet on the New York Mets. Win total over. I don't have to bet the Mets. I don't have to fade the Mets. They're motherfuckers. I want them to be good. I've got 3 units on their win total over. So every game I've got some action. Last year, what did I have? I had Gabe Davis over. I had, let's see, what else did I have? I had Jordan Love over touchdown passes. I had Lamar Jackson over yards. I think those hit, but somehow I went 3 for 5 and I lost like $60. I'm already fucking invested. Oh God, somebody made a fucking Nightbot command there. We love that. So I'm a big fan of these. I like them. And then with I guess, I'm not here endorsing parlays, but the nice thing is you don't have to tie up too much capital if you parlay them, because you can have a lower risk. So I'll probably do $100, which is a unit for me. And sometimes with these parlays, I do 2 units, 3 units, or 1 unit, depending on what it is. So I'll probably do a $100 player prop parlay. I think with the pick'em, you can go up to 8. If you add the picks in, let me see, standard, I think you can go up to 8. So I don't know. I'm going to fuck around with this. It is my first time. I'm getting used to it. I got the promo code in there. If you do sign up, you get a deposit match with DGen. 50% up to $250 bonus. All right, so I got my account loaded. I'm ready to roll. I'm going to share my screen. Steak, did you do a Prize Picks entry last year, a season-long entry? I can't remember.
Yes, I did.
And how did you end up doing?
I did good, but I'm trying to remember who fucked me. I think it might have been Josh Allen who fucked me.
And what was it, like yards or touchdowns?
think it was passing touchdowns. I honestly, I think I would have it in my prize picks. I should try to find it because it was bad. I hit 4 out of 5.
Okay, well, you did better than I did. So you probably won something. I think I lost $60. I got like $40 back on my $100 bet because I went 3 for 5. Oh, I had TJ Hawkinson over touchdown receptions. He was 5.5. He had 5, and he got hurt in like week 8 or something. So that sucked. So I'm looking at Josh Allen right now. Let's see. Passing touchdowns. You can go higher or lower, 27.5, 9.5 rushing touchdowns, 3,800.5 passing yards, 500.5 rushing yards. I'm not going to get involved with Josh Allen, but I know on the newsletter, W newsletter, Greg is in on him for MVP. You like the Bills. We always like the Bills. Are you going to have Josh Allen in there again? Or are you going to pass?
I'm not going to have Josh Allen in my big one. I like Josh Allen a lot, to be honest, but I'm not putting him in this entry. I'll say that right now.
Okay, fine. I'm not going to do that either. We should do an AFC and an NFC. All right, let's
just tell you real quick what Josh Allen did to me because I found my prize pick.
Yeah, of course.
I needed 43.75 on the yards. He had 43.06.
You need 43.75 passing yards. He had 43.06.
Yeah.
That is fucking brutal. I think if you lose a season bet by under 100 yards, that kind of counts as a bad beat. All right, I'm looking at the main page here of players. I'm gonna pass on CMC. I'm gonna pass on Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts. If I'm gonna go with the Eagles, I'm probably gonna go with Saquon. Let's pull. How do you feel about Saquon this year?
That's who I love. That's who I want in my entry.
All right. Let's see what we got.
I love Saquon.
All right.
Specifically, real quick, I just want to say I like Saquon touchdowns.
Okay.
I don't think the push is the same with no Jason Kelsey. I honestly don't even think they do it as much as people think.
So here's the only problem. It's rushing touchdowns at 7.5. It's not receiving.
He's scoring more than 7.5 rushing touchdowns.
All right, fuck it. Let's put it in. All right, so 304 half receiving yards. He's going over that too.
Probably, yeah. But I still like rushing touchdowns more.
Fine. I don't know that I like rushing yards. 1160 and a half.
Oof.
I don't know that I like that. And I just don't know how the Eagles defense is going to look. I'm in on the rushing touchdowns. I'm going to put that in. Nobody else on the Eagles. We're not going to double it up here. Nobody else on the Eagles. We're going to go higher. We're going to go higher than 7.5 rushing touchdowns. All right. I like that. Let's keep moving. AJ Brown is probably going to be a beast, but I'm not getting involved with 2. Okay, let's do something with Bijan Robinson. Well, here's the problem. I like Bijan touchdowns too, but we can't do 2 running backs with rushing touchdowns. Hold on, we got guys that want to come in left and right. Let me bring some other people up too.
Yeah, go ahead. That's a great.
Hold on, let's bring up Troy. Troy has been waiting. Yeah, I want to hear from other people. I don't want to just. We're not experts at this by any means. Hold on. Troy requested a while ago, and he's been waiting. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't see shit. Trey, what's up? You requested. You got something you like?
Oh yeah, man. I'm trying to find it to where I can straight bet it, but I'm in Texas, so my choices are limited. But I'm taking Josh Allen under 2.5 interceptions.
Yeah, I saw the BTL guys are on that too. I don't hate it. I think that Josh Allen is going to be smart. I like James Cook. We're going to get to that in a second. James Cook is my guy. I think they're going to lean on the run game. I think he's probably going to make less mistakes. So I'm totally in on that. I don't know that I can get that on here. It doesn't look like there's anything for interceptions, but yeah, that's good with me. And I don't think you can take interceptions straight. Steak, have you ever heard of that? Interception straight? I don't know if you can. You might have to go offshore.
No, but I feel like we're getting close to all that
being
available somewhere.
Yeah.
And then for Steak, since he fucked you and I know you don't want to do it, then take CJ Stroud over interceptions. There you go.
I actually don't hate that.
I don't.
He was 4, and now he's at 9.5. Yeah, okay.
Oh my God, he's at 9.5 interceptions. He's going over 9.5 interceptions.
Yeah, you for just throwing 4? Yeah, okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good with that. All right, Trey, thank you. Hovey, you did you have something you wanted to say, or were you just going to chime in on what we were talking about with Saquon? Yeah, I guess it's just Saquon for now.
Yeah, no, I wasn't going to chime in. I was going to give my favorite season-long prop.
Yes, please do.
We went over maybe the other day when we were talking about the AFC. So
Can you guys hear, by the way, in Twitch?
Ingram over
Can hear
3.5
everything fine.
receiving touchdowns.
Oh, I like that. I like that. Hold on, I'm going to pull it up right now and see what he's at on Underdog. Ingram. Okay. I almost like the yards.
He's at 3.5.
He's at 3.5. Oh, Hovey Martians. Come back later, Hovey. Hovey Martians, come back later. I'm looking at him right now. He's at 3.5 or 725.5. Steak, you like the Jags. I like the Jags. I like Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, but let me ask: are we trying to do like NFC first and then go into NFC, or are we plugging everywhere?
We should do an NFC and an AFC, don't you think?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's revisit that. Let's revisit that.
What was Bijan's touchdowns at?
What was Bijan's touchdown? Well, Bijan is at 7.5.
Yeah. I still think they're going to use Tyler Algier a lot more than people are expecting this year. I got to be honest with you.
Okay, well, what about 1,100.5 rushing yards?
Yeah, fuck.
You don't like that?
I don't know if I do.
Okay, all right. Well, let's revisit that a little bit later. On that note, let's go to the Falcons. We got Kirk Cousins, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, Darnell Mooney. I didn't even realize. Do you like any of those guys? You can say no.
I honestly have to say no. I know I'm going to get called Falcons hater by fat girls.
No.
It's so many guys that like are just potential. Like the Falcons have the most guys that are just potential. Don't get me wrong. I know Bijan Robinson is a baller, and I know that at one point he'll probably be the best running back in the NFL. But I don't think he's going to get the usage people think. Drake London's never had a wide receiver one type of year. And what the fuck has Kyle Pitts done in the NFL? Like, I'm a Florida Gator. I love Kyle Pitts. I'm not sure if Kyle Pitts is good. I'm just going to be honest with you.
I know, dude. I'll never forget. You know, back in the day when it wasn't legal in New York, I had to drive to FanDuel, pay an $18 toll and everything. It was about an hour and a half with traffic each way. And I don't know if you probably remember this, but I went and I put my largest wager at the time on Kyle Pitts under 5.5 draft position because I just thought the guy was a fucking generational tight end.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that tight ends were, you know, this was the year of Kittle. Kelsey was still obviously like he's kind of yesterday's news now, not saying he's washed up or anything, but nobody can really tolerate him. But I was like, all right, tight ends are going to be the new hot thing. So I would never been more right about a player in terms of their draft position. However, I also, in that same rookie year, I think I took him over touchdown catches and over receiving yards, and he was way off. All right, we got Fat Girls up here. Before let's see what Hovey had to say. Hovey, we are going to start with the NFC. So if you want to wait, that's fine. But if you want to just reiterate Ingram, that's fine with me too. What do you prefer?
Can you guys hear me now or no?
Hey, so much better.
Yes. All right, yeah. I'll just go over that.
Nope, now we can't hear you.
Just
All right, we have to try it.
Let Fat Girls blabber about the Falcons real quick.
Okay.
I'm not here to blabber about the Falcons. I can hear you guys now. My prop was going to be an AFC prop, so I guess I'll shut up until you guys do AFC.
Yeah.
But on a real note, if you guys really want to back the Falcons, and you don't even have to be a Falcons backer if you want to take a prop, dude, I'm being like 100% serious. Like, take Kirk under interceptions or under passing yards. Like, he's not throwing for 4,000.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to see real quick what he's at. He's at 4,500 passing yards.
He's not throwing 4,000.
I actually don't hate that.
He's not.
I don't
hate that either. What's his interceptions at?
9.5, I think.
So that's the only shitty thing is I don't see interceptions on Underdog at least. Maybe it's a prize picks thing, but I'm going to go yards. I'm going to go lower than 4,000. I'm just going to put this in. It doesn't have to stick. I'm going to put it in with Saquon right now. Saquon higher than 7.5 rushing touchdowns. Kirk lower than 4,500 passing yards. I like that so far. Okay. All right, Fat Girls, whenever we do the AFC, definitely come back up or just hang out up here. Mark Sears' mom, my fellow Alabamian. Not that I'm from Alabama, but I am an investor because I got Jalen Milroe, Heisman. I know maybe you're an Atlanta, Georgia guy. I forget.
Georgia.
Okay, my bad. But wait, are you an Alabama fan?
Granddad went there, so it's a demand. I have to be.
Okay, Alabama fan, but you're in Georgia, so you're an Atlanta sports fan, right?
Right.
Okay, I got that right. I'm sorry. All right, what's up? Are you in or out on the Falcons?
I'm in. I like Bijan touchdowns, but then again, my favorite touchdowns probably Pacheco over 6.5.
Okay.
Rushing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's an AFC one. We're gonna start with NFC,
I know.
which is fine. Which is fine. Pacheco is 6.5. He's at 925.5 rushing yards. I'm certainly not out on anything Chiefs related, so that's good with me. So you like Pacheco? I think Fat Crow said he likes Bijan. All right, let's revisit that when we get to the AFC. If Mark Sears, if you're in here, I'll bring you back up, or regardless, I'll at least reference that. Give you some credit on that one if it makes it in there. Thank you. All right, Hovey's going to try this one more time. MJ, what's up? Do you have an NFC player prop that you like for a season-long entry?
I do. Is it too loud where I'm at?
It's very loud, but I think we can maybe get through it.
Okay. Well, I'm in love with the Seahawks, so it's a Seahawks player.
Oh, God.
Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, I think Steak actually likes his under.
Really?
I do.
I don't know how you could like his under, honestly. This is a guy who's a second-year breakout potential. We see what DK Metcalf is potential-wise. I don't think DK has a higher ceiling than what we've seen, but I think the opposite for JSN. Not to mention Seahawks were last in plays per game called. There's going to be a lot more opportunities for a guy like JSN with Tyler Lockett being 32. We've seen his numbers drastically go down as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love his upside. I think the Seahawks are in potential with how banged up that San Fran looks preseason with Christian McCaffrey dealing with a calf strain. You can look into that as much as you want, but that was the same thing that Joe Burrow was dealing with preseason last year. I don't want to put any of my money towards the San Fran team, so I'll look somewhere else in that division. Rams, not a big fan of them either. I see a lot of upside in the Seahawks, even to win the division. I know we're talking props, but plus 650 is a lot of value, and I see a lot of upside with Geno Smith and a young guy like JSN with a lot of opportunities, and a guy that I see, honestly, making a case for wide receiver 1 over DK. I know that's kind of crazy, but I see a lot more potential in him than I do DK right now.
Well,
real quick, MJ, I just got one question since we're talking Seahawks. So do you think Geno Smith is going to start the entire season?
Honestly, I do. I think Mike McDonald is a guy where we're seeing a lot of young head coaches come in. And if you look at Pete Carroll, that offense was lethargic, and Geno Smith was able to make something out of it. I know there's opinions on both sides of Geno Smith. I think he's a guy who will be able to get them there. I don't think he's elite by any means, but a guy where I see two guys in DK and JSN being top 5 in wide receiver duos eventually after this year. I just like a lot of upside.
Well, one thing I'll add, because DJ brought it up, so I'm not going to fade JSN, but I've definitely been talking about it, and my reasoning was I kind of think, and I know we all see the replays and highlights of Tyler Lockett basically saving his body and not taking hits. I kind of think Tyler Lockett's 1 year away from giving up that role to JSN, and JSN's so young. The only reason I wanted to fade JSN was because I thought he was a year away, and then when I looked at his props, I kind of think they're a little low. So I'm probably not going to fade JSN, but I'll be honest, I'm not in love with him.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But the only counter argument I can make to that really is you still got DK Metcalf being the wide receiver 1 on that team. That's a prominent name. And JSN, it's not like he was even an 800-yard guy last year. So for me, the projection's on par to everybody undervaluing the Seahawks to begin with.
I think the Seahawks, I'm glad you brought them up. I think they're an interesting team. I've heard some smart people like them. Adam Chernoff is a big McDonald fan. He thinks he's going to be one of the better NFL head coaches moving forward. My apprehension, so MJ, I think I brought up Jackson Smith and Jigba in the group chat with Steak and Greg, because I don't even know if I was talking about from a betting perspective, but I was trying to talk about guys for my fantasy football team. And I always try to snag rookie receivers. I struck gold with Justin Jefferson at the time and CeeDee Lamb, but I've also whiffed on quite a few, fucking Rondale Moore to name one of them. But JSN, the guy I took, he didn't really do that much. Then I was looking for somebody who kind of has like tons of talent, but hasn't really blown up yet. And I thought he could be one of those guys. Steak was kind of out on him. I'm not necessarily going to force it, but I wouldn't talk anybody off of it. Here's my one concern. It's a new offensive coordinator. And maybe you're right. Like maybe the offense was lethargic with Pete Carroll. I forget who the OC was. Was it Shane Waldron? Was that who it was? If anybody knows, but regardless, I guess I just don't really know anything about how the offense is going to look. They've got Kenneth Walker, who I think is awesome. I don't have enough trust in Geno Smith to invest in anything Seahawks offense related. So for that reason, I'm going to be out. But if there is a player I'm betting on, it would be JSN and it would be his yards. So I'm aligned with you in that sense.
That's totally right. There's a lot of unknown, I guess, with that team, and as goes the players. But the last thing I'll note on Ryan Grubb, the new OC, the guy knows plays. If you saw Washington football, they
loved it.
Pass heavy to begin with, but it was creative.
Yep.
It wasn't just. It's the new age of the NFL, I think. So I really just love the young, two new offensive-minded guys in this position with, I think, a talented group when it comes to the division as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
So I could be wrong. You guys made some valid points, which kind of made me second-guess some things, but that's all I got. I appreciate it.
Well, I think, too, you bring up a good point. Not knowing how a college guy is going to translate the NFL is one thing, but if I am going off of what he showed me in college, if you watched Washington football last year, I think I probably Steak, you were a big Washington investor. You had Penix to win the Heisman too. I remember having Oregon. I think it was like +3 and they pushed at Washington. And I was watching that game. I had to go out to dinner. I only watched the first half of it because idiot Greg made me go out early and miss the second half. But anyways, I remember saying to myself, how the fuck does anybody stop Washington? Because their plays were so creative. Their motion was insane. The wide receiver routes were unbelievable, and there were the 1, 2, and 3 options. Like somebody was always open, and it was like making them punt felt like the biggest success of for a team. So yes. Anyways, we're spending a lot of time on the Seahawks, but I think it was a good team to bring up. It's an interesting team. I'm not fading them. I faded them last year. It was one of my favorite plays to miss the playoffs. It was a hell of a sweat. I'm good on that. I'll sit and watch the Seahawks, but Jason, I'm good with. Steak, what's up? You got something to say to that?
Yeah, because Royal's up here and we're talking Washington. I hope he's about to pitch for the guy I want him to pitch, but if he doesn't, I'm pitching him after Royal. So I'm just letting you know now.
Is it a Washington guy or is it a Seahawks guy?
We'll have to find out. We'll let
Royal know. Royal, what do you have?
Okay, Steak, I know where you're going with this. Fat Girls, feel free to unmute as well, but he did get bumped significantly, but I mean, you just heard everything about Washington. I mean, their best receiver by far was Odunze.
Okay, let's go to Chicago. And on that note, we got fucking Chewy requesting. Chewy, hang tight. I'll bring you up here, and then you talk after Royal.
I do have another one, though. So, I mean, the Bears are technically NFC, if you want to.
Yeah. Let's talk Bears. That's a good team to touch on for sure.
Okay. I mean, people can call it bias, but, like, I like to think, I know my own team. That's kind of how I see it.
Are you a Bears fan?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Understood. Continue.
I figured I would address that, and I'll be honest, I did get it at 650.5. I know it's up to like 725 on Underdog now, but yeah, I mean, I love Odunze. I genuinely think, and this is just my perspective, Fat Girls and Chewy, you guys can chime in if you want, but I don't think Keenan Allen is going to be that volume and kind of target hog that he's been in Los Angeles. I kind of see DJ as a wide receiver one. And Keenan, I see him as a one-year rental just to kind of overprotect Caleb in his rookie year. So I think they're just doing everything they can to make him comfortable. I think it's worked so far. But, I mean, we see Waldron. We talked about Geno's kind of revelation. Waldron was a huge part of that. And what they led in 3 years with him there was deep yard passing. They pretty much just led all these passing stats and explosive plays. I don't have it up, but Odunze led the nation in college by a mile in all those stats. And what he's really good at is the deep route concepts and just deep balls in general. I mean, we've seen it in preseason already. And Waldron's a huge play action guy. He loves establishing the run and then throwing out of it, which, again, is perfect for Odunze. And, I mean, I try not to get too excited, but, I mean, we just see Caleb making all these crazy throws already. I don't think he's going to have a doubt in his mind, like, not to throw it up to him. And, I mean, he's a great route runner. Like I said, he really thrives in the 12 to 15-yard concepts and plus. And I just see this offense kind of being electric. They don't really have a workhorse back. I don't see them running Swift in the ground. I think it's going to be a committee with Herbert and Roschon just to establish the run and then kind of just attack through the air.
I love it, but I have a different way that I want to attack the Bears offense. I'll let Steak follow that up first, though.
Just the one thing I want to say, because obviously I agree with everything Royal said. I love Adunes, and I've seen all these things about Keenan Allen gaining 20 to 30 pounds, and up until the last preseason game, I feel like everybody was acting like that's a good thing. Is that a good thing for a receiver to gain 20 to 30 pounds?
I don't think so. No.
Maybe like after the rookie year, but I don't know about it.
A 32-year-old?
No.
I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah, you got to remember, he's 32. He's not 25, 26.
I just think Rome's going to have a way bigger role than people are seeing, and I do think part of the reason that's going to happen is because of Keenan Allen being fat and slow now out of nowhere.
Like I said, as being that focal point like he kind of was in LA. I think, again, this is his last year of his deal, which is why he got traded. I mean, they just extended DJ and they drafted Rome in the first round, so you have him for, 4 years? Like, those two are the two building points that you have moving forward in my eyes.
I'm going to say one thing, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet, even though that's hard for me to do because I'm a rambler. And then I would like Chewy's thoughts, and then I would like to see if Fat Girls has anything to say because he's a Chicago guy. My one concern about trying to bet on the Bears offense, which I do think is going to be high-powered. I think it's going to be very good this year. If you guys who are in here don't already know, Steak is, I think – that is his team that he is going all in on. Caleb, I forced him to bet Caleb to win the MVP. He tells me Caleb's not going to win the MVP. I know that Caleb's not going to win the MVP. The problem is we are in a day and age with social media. You have to be, if you are right, you have to be there on the mountain of glory. And imagine if you take Caleb Williams, Offensive Rookie of the Year, most offensive passing yards, Bears to make the playoffs, Bears over wins. You take all these things and everything you think about Caleb Williams and the Bears happens. And he ends up somehow winning the MVP because he's that fucking good and electric. How could you not be there with a ticket when he's 100-1? So with all that said, I like Caleb Williams. I think he's the real fucking deal. Steak hit him to win the Heisman. I bought into USC when he was there, even though I hate USC as a Notre Dame fan. I would gladly just take Caleb Williams over passing yards because if you look at this depth chart and this roster, how can you pick the right guy? Cole Kmet, I'm not saying is going to light it up in the receiving game in terms of yardage. I don't think that's going to be the case. He's probably going to do well, though. I think he's going to score touchdowns. If anything, I would go over 3.5 touchdowns. But even with DeAndre Swift out of the backfield, Roschon White, and then the weapons they have for receiver, it would just suck to pick the wrong guy. And they're just a great offense. So I think the best way to do it is just take Caleb Williams over passing yards. Booker Chew, what do you think about your Bears this season? And do you like any of their players more specifically for a player prop?
All right. Well, first, before I start and say my thoughts and everything, I just wanted to say the real Chicago man's here. As you all know, Booker Chew, I'm the biggest Chicago fan anybody probably ever known. You could ask anybody in this space. And I'm going to be completely honest, and people are probably either going to be shocked or they're going to think I'm crazy for saying this. But I just think that the hype that Caleb Williams is getting, again, I'm just saying this because I haven't seen any footage or film of
Love Chewy, man. Love Chewy.
And I honestly just think that the Bears, they're not going to be first place. They're not. The Bears are going to be third place. It's going to go to Lions, the Packers, then us. Caleb Williams under, Santos over field goals. And obviously, as we all know, the Niners are like my second favorite team. So, I mean, Hufanga over 2.5 interceptions. Give me that all day. Wait.
Is this a troll job right now, or are you being dead serious?
I'm being dead serious. Like, Caleb Williams under passing yards, Santos over field goals, Hufanga over 2.5 interceptions. I might get trolled, I might get hate, but everybody wants honesty, and I'm trying my best to be as professional as I can because I know you're more of a business type guy. So I'm trying to keep the entertainment and the high level of energy to a minimum. But that's just my thoughts. I'm just being honest. I bleed Chicago, but I just think that because of the fact that I'm trying to be 100% honest here, I've not seen any film or highlights of Caleb. So that is why I just think that from all this hype that this man's getting, I have nothing against the guy. I don't hate him. It's not that. I just think that until I see what this guy does, I see the Bears third place, Lions first place. Niners, we already know what's going to happen.
Stop talking about stop. I don't want to hear you slurp the Niners. That's not what we're doing right now. Just with all due respect.
All right. Well, the main point I'm trying to make here is if you were to ask me, the three teams in NFC North is going to be the Lions and the Packers, even though I fucking hate that team, and then us. That's just my honest thoughts here. So obviously I get it. I'm going to get the trolls. I'm going to get the hate. But I have nothing against Caleb Williams. I just think that until I see what this man brings in the first year, I just think it's under his passing yards until I see what this guy brings to the team.
That's fair. Chewy, I think that's fair. I admire that you're being realistic. And I don't know what led you to believe that I am too business savvy and professional. I mean, my profile picture is me smoking a cigarette, and you can almost see my nutsack if you zoom in. So I would hope that you would always keep entertainment the priority. But I don't want you to just come up here and goof off, like enforcing it. I want honesty over everything. Here's the thing though. I'm going to be honest with you, Chew. This has nothing to do with you. It has nothing to do with anybody. I've said this for years. I always fade the fan. So if a fan base is incredibly high on their team, that would make me uneasy about betting on that team. And case in point is if you know any Florida State fans, they are fucking delusional. And when I even have I don't know if any of them are actually watching this or in the space right now because some of them do. When Florida State played Alabama a couple years ago, I had Florida State fan friends who told me that was going to be the end of Saban's career. Alabama beat the fucking shit out of them. So anyways, that was kind of when I was like, anytime a fan base loves their team, I'm opposite. The same can be said when a fan is against their team. That makes me like them. I want you to be uncomfortable. Betting should be uncomfortable. It shouldn't be about just going up there and making every bet that you love, that you like so much. It's not how you're going to win long term. So I like to hear you say that. It's not going to change my position. I hope that you are wrong about the Packers. I think the Lions, everybody's on the Lions bandwagon this year. And you know what? It's probably the chalk play that hits. That's fine. I like Detroit. We all like Detroit. So anyways, though, we're going to keep it moving here. We do have some other people that just came up. Before we go to Matt, Book, did you want a rebuttal?
I just wanted to say real quick, obviously I do this to everybody who's part of the gambling community. I just want to say, DJ, you're a GOAT. Everybody else is in here, y'all are ghosts, and just know that if people hate on you, fuck them. Just know that you all are ghosts, and y'all inspire me. And DJ, I've always had much love and respect for you, even though I know you mess with me when it comes to certain topics, but just know that I look up to you, man. You're one of my heroes. Just know that.
That's very nice of you to say, Chewy. I think you're a great dude. I seriously mean that. And the only time I fuck with you is about the Chicago Bulls. And it really all stems from, it only stems from Nikolai Vucevic, to be honest with you. But I actually do think, you're one of the good guys in here. So don't ever change, please. And thank you for your take on Caleb Williams and the Bears. But I hope you know it's all love and respect, that it just makes me like him a little bit more. Okay, real quick, I did want to go to Sports Guy Evan. If you have something on this topic, feel free to chat. If you don't, I would say just hang tight.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw out a little nugget in regards to the Rome Odunze play.
Sure.
So far through 2 preseason games, the Bears rank last in plays ran out of 11 personnel. So my biggest concern with the Rome Odunze play is just him getting time on the field. Say what you want about Keenan Allen and putting on weight and getting old. He's going to be at least mentally, the alpha receiver, and he's going to get that playing time with DJ Moore. And so unless you really think Odunze can take over for that wide receiver 2 spot, or you think the Bears offense might shift a little bit once the regular season comes, I would be concerned with taking any Odunze overs.
Preseason numbers.
Yeah, I think it's a fair point because I like devil's advocate and I like counters. I'm not going to put too much stock into the preseason. Also, I will say I think Rome is the kind of guy, if he was a late round or second round pick, I think it would be one thing. I think that the fact that he's a top 10 pick, the Bears are going to want to get him involved. And here's the thing, even if, and I agree with you to an extent, they're so loaded. I don't know that I want to try to pick the right guy, but Rome is probably a dude who can get 3 catches and have 80 yards. If you need over 725? I mean, what is that average per game? Is that 50 yards? Is my math right there? Is that
less than 50?
Less than 50.
50 would be 850 yards.
So I think it's a fair point. Even though I'm not going to put too much stock in anything preseason related. But also, it's a rookie quarterback, rookie coaching staff. So they're definitely, what they're doing is not decoy-ish, in my opinion. But he doesn't need that much. But good point nonetheless. Thank you for bringing it up. Okay, I think we're good on this topic. I'm going to say, moving forward with the Bears, I'm looking at the other options. Cole Kmet touchdowns. I'm not going to get involved with tight end touchdowns anymore. TJ Hawkinson burned me enough. It would be Caleb Williams passing yards over for me, 3,600 and a half. I'm going to put it in here for now. Anybody that's on Twitch, you can see my entry. So far, I have Saquon over rushing touchdowns, Kirk under passing yards, Caleb higher than 3,600 passing yards. Okay, we're getting crowded up here. Greg is up here. Hello, Greg. Fat Girls, are you good on the Bears, or did you want to add anything?
No, I'm good. I mean, to be honest, I talked with Royal about this a ton, and Steak too. The only way I would take it, which is what I'm going to do, is just take Caleb over yards. Like, you don't know, who's going to be that guy that's going to get fed. And then just the only thing I wanted to add on the preseason thing, I would imagine the guy that, did just get drafted into this offense would get the majority of the snaps over a guy like Keenan Allen, like, who's a veteran. He doesn't need preseason snaps. And the second thing, what I think the Bears are also trying to implement is that, like, he brought up that personnel, because the interior offensive line is still a concern. Like, I think it's just to practice pass protection purposes, but yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Let's talk about the Packers. I love the Packers last year. It was my 3-unit win total play. I'm happy it hit, although it was for the wrong reason. I really liked their defense. Their defense sucked. But let's talk about this wide receiver room. Christian Watson, I had his over yards. That was one of my shit plays last year. Guy can't stay healthy. I'm out on Christian Watson. Romeo Dobbs, whatever, and Jaden Reed. Those are the options I see on Underdog. All have reception touchdowns and receiving yards that you can take, or Josh Jacobs, 7.5 rushing TDs, 1,025.5 rushing yards. And then Jordan Love, 39, 15.5 passing yards. Interesting. Interessante. 29.5 passing touchdowns, which was also a straight bet I took last year. His passing TDs, he fucking soared over that. I don't know that I'm going to pick a player in this offense. I cannot figure out for the life of me if Josh Jacobs is going to be really good or kind of irrelevant. Any thoughts at all? I don't know what Greg is doing over here. It looks like he was a speaker. Now he's not a speaker. If anybody has any thoughts on the Packers. Oh, by the way, Mid-Major Matt, I forgot I brought you up here. Sorry, got a little crowded. Does anybody have any thoughts on the Packers? If you want to raise your hand, we can do it orally. I'm probably going to stay all the way out. Steak, feel free. You don't really have to raise your hand. You're a co-host. Just go ahead.
I like raising my hand.
Okay, I like it too.
I have 1.5 Packers players I like.
Okay.
Well, I think from what I saw last year, first of all, it's hard to pick a wide receiver. I don't know where Christian Watson's at with his health. I have no idea what to think of Romeo Dobbs, and I have seen a lot of Dontavia Wicks love. But that's not where I'm going. I like Jaden Reed. He's my favorite Packers receiver, and he's who I honestly was the most impressed with last year. Especially if you base it off expectation versus performance, because I don't think anyone expects Jaden Reed to do shit last year. And like I said, I know Christian Watson got hurt, but that's who I like. I see he's at 760.5, and it does feel a little low to me. I'll admit that, but I think it's because there's so many weapons, and they added Josh Jacobs, and Josh Jacobs isn't as much of a receiving back as Aaron Jones was, so you assume they're going to run the ball more. I get all that, but I think that's a really good number to dabble with Jaden Reed. And then the other one, the half guy like Josh Jacobs, I feel like I'm not putting him in our entry or anything, but at 925.5 rushing yards, you got to talk about it.
Well, he's a little higher than that on Underdog at least, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Josh Jacobs. I'm a Josh Jacobs guy. I just don't know. I don't know about a running back in a Matt LaFleur offense with all these offensive weapons. By the way, just real quick on the Jaden Reed note, I didn't realize how good this guy was last year. He had 8 touchdowns. That's pretty fucking good for a wide receiver. He balled. Yeah. So the last week of the season, he had 112 receiving yards. Week before that, 6 catches, 89 yards and 2 touchdowns. Week before that, Tampa, 52 yards and a touchdown. I mean, this guy's pretty good. 800 yards essentially last year and 8 touchdowns. pretty fucking good. I'm with it. I don't want to put anything Packers in the entry, so I'm going to stay out of it. And then if anybody else doesn't have anything, we can move on. While we're on, we should just stick in divisions. I'm going to go look at the Vikings. There's nobody on here. Dallas Turner, 7.7.5 sacks. We'll pass on that. Let's talk about the Lions. Lions are fucking loaded. We've got 4 players that we can talk about here. Jared Goff passing touchdowns is 26.5. Does that seem low? 26.5 passing touchdowns. For reference, Jordan Love was 29.5. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 8.5 touchdowns, 1285.5 receiving. Jameson Williams would probably be my guy, and I know I'm not alone there. We've got Kevin, who's a Detroit guy. We'll get him up here. Greg, you've joined us late. We'd love to hear your voice. What do you like? And by the way, just to remember, because we're new to Underdog and to this whole thing, if you have the app up, we have Jared Goff, Amon-Ra, Sam Laporta, Jameson Williams. So let's stick to those guys. Don't come up here and tell me fucking, David Montgomery or something. Greg.
That's actually, so I did like David Montgomery. No, I'm kidding.
You motherfucker.
But what I was going to say about why Goffs are probably low is probably because of the rushing attack they have with Gibbs and Montgomery. Like, I don't view that as anything against the Lions offense. I just view it as them having one of the better rushing games out there.
Okay.
But yeah, to your point, I was really bummed the Packers didn't have A.J. Dillon, because I will probably find a way to fade him in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, Goff, I would probably lean more towards the yards than the touchdowns in this space. And I think you're on his MVP. You took it like 3 months before me without even saying anything. We both got it at 40-1. But the fact that he plays 17 games and 14 of them are indoors, that's where this guy thrives. And I think they do have a bit of a chip on their shoulder after being so close to making the Super Bowl last year and not there. So I definitely want a Lion in there, and the one that sticks out to me the most is Goff passing yards. Because I could see Laporta, but Laporta, sometimes when a rookie's that good, I'm apprehensive to go back to him the next year.
Goff had 30 touchdown passes, and he had one game with 5. That was against Denver. And yardage, he had 45.75 last year. So again, his line is 41.50.5 this year. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I'll put it in here for now. We got a couple QBs in here. We'll trim the list for sure. I think it sounds like we're good. I'm sorry. We got a couple hands up. Mid-Major Matt, you haven't spoke. Somebody changed their name to fuck DGen. That's not nice. And also Nightbot is in Twitch. Somebody has a command that says fuck Greg. So we're getting shots fired all over the place here. Mid-Major, what's up, brother?
Hey, boys. I'd like to make a note that steak is the only one for the people, as no one wants to fuck steak. So congratulations.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's scared of him because he's got tattoos and bigger chains and more muscles, and that's okay.
Chain, I think, is the issue.
I don't like how Matt just said no one wants to fuck Jake.
Yeah, I guess that's true. All right, so
it's fact.
So yeah, I do need to get a real chain. I'll figure that out later. All right, what do you like for the Lions, Matt?
So I was actually going to agree with Greg. I mean, I think it's a clear correlation that you have the 1 and 2, 1A, 1B offensive lines in the league with 2 stud running backs in their primes. I don't think it's odd at all for Jared Goff, because if you think about it, let's say you give Amon-Ra 10 touchdowns, right? That's still a phenomenal season. Let's say you give Laporta, let's say he gets 8 or 9. That's 18, 19. No one else on their team really, they talk about all the fucking fantasy nerds. They talk about who else is catching the ball after Amon-Ra, right? So I think it feels kind of like red in the nose, honestly, numbers-wise. But honestly, that's all I was going to touch on before I heard Greg talk, because my favorite player propping going to yell at me again it's actually on the Bears, so I'm just going to shut up.
No, that's fine. Just at least say it.
So my initial gut lean that I wanted to fade this year was DeAndre Swift rushing yards. Never played a full healthy season. He's coming behind the Lions offensive line and the Eagles offensive line. Now he's going behind the Bears offensive line. They still have Khalil Herbert. They still have Roschon Johnson, their goal line back, the red zone guy. DeAndre Swift he has injury concerns his whole career. And do I really think that the Bears drafted Caleb Williams to fucking not throw the ball every goddamn game?
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
That one, but also my favorite play statistically wise for the season right now, it's actually Montez Sweat under 9.25 sacks. He overperformed last year at 12, and I think he got 12 and a half sacks.
throughout the Commanders and the Bears season. Play phenomenal. But again, this is what I will support the fantasy nerds on this, or the stat nerds. And said he overperformed. I use that information now because he's the sole kind of edge rusher on a defense that doesn't have a lot of edge rushing. I looked at the entire front seven. They have seven other projected starters right now on the depth chart. They have a combined 316 games played in their NFL career, combined 50 sacks. So what's that telling you is they can't get fucking pressure outside of anywhere, maybe outside of scheme for that matter. So I'm expecting the defensive end that plays on the quarterback's, his non-blind side, the spot of the field that he looks at the entirety of the time. I don't expect him to get 9 sacks. I think he gets double teamed. I think he gets tired of getting fucking blocked all the time. And I think he definitely regresses back to the mean and the way his stats kind of expected him to play last year. At the same time, look at the schedule. One single left-handed quarterback all season long as of right now. So every quarterback's going to see him coming. I think he underperforms as per his stats last year. So Montez Sweat under sacks is my favorite season long at the moment.
Wow. Okay. Not offered, unfortunately, on Underdog, but I was actually looking at Defensive Player of the Year odds, and I saw Montez Sweat was like 33-1, and I was like, ooh, he looked really good on the Bears last year. That might be a good long shot. All right, I'm out. Good advanced stats over there. Let's keep it moving. Thank you, Matt. Fuck DGen. I think that's Kevin. What do you have on the Lions?
DGen, how are you, buddy?
Doing well. Good to hear from you. Hope all is good.
It's always good to hear from you. For me, it's Jameson Williams.
Okay.
Cosign. The yards. Just to start, this is his first offseason where he hasn't had issues. His first year, he tore his ACL in the Natty, came in, didn't have a full offseason. Last year, he had the gambling, was suspended, couldn't even come to the facility because of a dumb rule where he gambled at a team hotel, so they suspended him, whatever. This year, he doesn't really have competition at 2. Josh Reynolds is gone. Khalif Raymond's more like a 3 or 4. Last year, Lions faced the most single high coverage in the NFL. They didn't take advantage of it because they didn't have somebody who could take the top off the defense. Now, if you remember when Jared Goff was in LA, he had Brandon Cooks, and Cooks had arguably his best season in the last, 6 or 7 yards-wise. Touchdowns, not as much. That's how I envision them using J-Mo this year. He's coming in, and the biggest thing he said he's adjusted is just being more mature. Teddy Bridgewater, when he was on this team last year, he took him under his wing and really taught him how to be a pro, which I think is important for a young kid. He's only 21 or 22 still. But this year you have Jahmyr Gibbs is a little banged up. You also have Laporta, who they say is 95% healthy, and he's playing week 1. But this is a guy who, when healthy, he's going to have over 700 yards receiving. And the other thing that I love is the Lions are playing 14 out of 17 games inside, and Goff only struggles when they play outdoors. He's phenomenal when they're indoors. So having a big speed guy like J-Mo who runs a 4.3 to take the top off the defense, I think 700 is just way too low.
I mean, Steak, Greg, I love it. I have Jameson Williams on my fantasy team. I know nobody gives a fuck about my fantasy team, but I love it. It's music to my ears. I think I like him. Depending on where we're at with the quarterbacks for this entry, if we don't want to be quarterback heavy, and maybe we need some receivers, Jameson Williams over higher than 6'9", 9.5 would be my go-to. Steak.
Yeah, I mean, Matt kind of alluded to it, so I feel like it fits in with what Matt said. You break down the 30 touchdowns or so that Jared Goff's going to throw this year, say Amon-Ra gets 10, and say Laporta gets 8, I don't know, is Khalif Raymond going to be that guy? I don't think so. I think everyone agrees that the Lions are dying for a wide receiver too, and I don't know who else it could be if it's not Jameson Williams.
Yeah. Greg, any qualms?
No, none at all.
Okay. All right. I'm going to keep him there for now. And I thought Matt's read was pretty sharp. Again, he's not on Underdog for Montez Sweat under sacks. I can't get there with him. I like Montez Sweat. I'm in on the Bears, but I thought it was a pretty good read. Fat Girls, you did have your hand up before we move out of the NFC North. Did you have anything else on the Lions?
No, I was literally just going to say, I don't know how you don't put J-Mo in there. I'm tailing Kevin on that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like it. So far, what I have right now is sack over rushing touchdowns. We're going to go to the NFC East. Kirk under or lower than. Sorry, I got to get better at that. Passing yards. Caleb higher than passing yards. Jared Goff higher. Jameson. I'm going to take Jared Goff out of there. Sorry, Greg. We'll find another one. We're too heavy on quarterbacks right now. All right, let's get to the NFC East. What is there available on the fucking Giants? All right, I'm looking on Underdog right now. We have Daniel Jones, 16.5 passing touchdowns, 2,900.5 passing yards. I think Daniel Jones is terrible, but the problem is there's nobody behind him. Unfortunately, if you really do think about it, they're going to give Daniel Jones a fair shake. That is why they drafted Malik Neighbors. I think they probably should have drafted. I even bet on J.J. McCarthy, even though I don't think J.J. McCarthy is going to be that great. I think they probably should have drafted a quarterback. But all things considered, I understand if you watch Hard Knocks. I thought it was great, by the way. I loved watching the front office more so than like the players. I thought the Cowboys one was fucking terrible. But anyways, they said it. It's a year of Daniel Jones. They wanted to give him an offensive line. They did that. He's got a weapon in Malik Neighbors. I hate to say it, but I really do think there's probably something there if you want to bet on Daniel Jones, because they're not going to go to Drew Lock. They're just not. They're going to ride Daniel Jones, I think. They're paying him unless he gets injured. And he is coming off of an injury, should be noted, but that's a little low. If you like something, I don't like Daniel Jones, but there's probably some value there because his numbers are so low. Malik Neighbors is a guy I invested in, 5.5 receiving touchdowns, 940.5 receiving yards. I tweeted about this. I have a most rookie receiving yards plus 480. I just don't know where the offense is coming from. These are the other two guys that are offered on Underdog right now. Wan'Dale Robinson and Devin Singletary. Absolutely fucking not. My money's not going on Wan'Dale Robinson and Devin Singletary. It's just not. The only other guy on here that you can get involved with is Brian Burns. I love Brian Burns. Steak, go ahead.
I just have to. You named my guy. You said my guy. Why not Devin Singletary? Why not Devin Singletary? And the only reason I say that is because they have to run the ball, right? Can you name any other Giants running backs?
Dude, Tyrone Tracy, if he was healthy, I think could fuck with his role. I'm not gonna lie.
Is that the guy they drafted from Purdue?
Yes.
What do we really know about Tyrone Tracy?
Bro, it's Devin Singletary, dude. What do you want? I'm being honest.
No,
we're talking about the Giants here.
It's Devin Singletary, guys, but it's 750 yards, which he's went over 4 out of 5 seasons in his career, and he's always had these type of roles where no one says, this is Devin Singletary's offense. I'm not claiming that at all, but it's 750 yards for a guy who's probably going to get the volume, and I think if you want to talk about a Giant, that's what should be talked about, because I just want to add one more thing. I absolutely think the Giants could go to Drew Lock. If Daniel Jones has any types of games like he had in the preseason last week against the Texans, if he has a play like that, a pick 6 out of the end zone, and that's a regular season game, I think you're talking about Drew Lock kind of quickly.
Okay, maybe I'm wrong there. I want Danny Jones to fail, and it's nothing personal. I just want to be right, and I've never been a Daniel Jones guy, and I live in New York. And they're fucking slurping this guy like the next Messiah after the performance against the worst Viking secondary in the history of the NFL. So, all right, I'm just going to sit this one out. Devin Singletary is not going in this. You can make a season-long entry. And by the way, if you're joining in the space and you want to sign up on Underdog, promo code DGen, 50% deposit match. Sorry, I got to try to be a little bit better about being corp. I forget these things. Somebody in the Twitch chat just said he is bum. I don't know who he's referring to, Daniel Jones or Devin Singletary, but I'm kind of with you. Steak, you're going on your own. Anybody in here, Giants guys? If you're not, we can Oh, Brian Burns. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Who just came off of mute?
I did.
Go ahead, Matt.
So it's not something specific, but I just wanted to kind of err on the side of caution. When I was looking at the Giants schedule, I agree. Daniel Jones is probably the dumbest quarterback in the NFL and also probably the least talented. So I wanted to fade him. My issue is when you look at their schedule from week 4 or 5 to week 15, they only play 4 fucking road games. So they play 7 home games and 4 road games in a 12-week span, which is insane to me when we've talked about some of the other schedules. So I'm very cautious about fading the Giants because their schedule is so full for them to do well.
Matt, I gotta mute you real quick. I'm sorry your service is cutting out, but I think for the most part, most part, I picked up what you're putting down with the schedule. That's more than fine with me. I kept you as a speaker. I just muted you. Maybe if you get better service. All right. So Steak likes Devin Singletary. Listen, I'm good with you going on a limb and going on Singletary Island. The last thing I wanted to say, though, that I wanted to point out, it's not offered here. Brian Burns is a guy you can get involved with, 8.75 sacks. I love Brian Burns. There's 3 guys on the defensive line that I have bet on for the last few years. Max Crosby, which the days of him at 25-1 defensive player of the year or sack leader are long gone. Greg's in on that this year at 7-1. I still very much like it. I love Max Crosby. Danielle Hunter, who is gone, and Brian Burns. I am a fan of these players. I would have no problem if anybody wants to get involved with these players. My thing is, I think it's there. Kayvon Thibodeau is being a little slept on. I think Thibodeau is actually pretty talented. And now with Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns, I think Thibodeau is a guy that I would get involved with. He's not offered here, but if you see a straight bet or something, let me know. I'd probably take that. If everybody is good, we can move on to the Commanders, which is a team that I think is very fun to Royal, did you have something? Oh, no, I'm sorry. You just moved to a listener. I thought you raised your hand or something. Okay. I think this could be a fun team to either bet on or, well, I don't really know that there's anyone I'd bet against. Here are the guys that are offered on Underdog: Jane Daniels, Terry McLaurin, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, and Jahan Dotson. I'm not an Eckler guy. I'm just going to tell you right now. I mean, I was watching that documentary, and it was a hilarious thing. I think Portnoy tweeted it. It was like, what a twist, that TikToker who, sister got involved in a cult. Of course, Austin Eckler would be married to the famous TikToker. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Greg, you pointed out something good. He is a tough guy. He grew up in like the Midwest. He dug holes. Maybe I'm wrong. I just thought he was such a California dude. Smooth dude. Looks great. I have been to FedEx Field. Let me tell you, it is. My wife went too. God bless her. She went to a Commanders game with me. It is awful. It's a terrible place. The field sucks. Nothing really personal against the fans, but I saw Washington Commanders fans start to fight each other when the Eagles were in town. It was unbelievable. I don't think Austin Eckler is just a FedEx Field Washington, D.C. guy. That's just me. I would take his rushing yards under. It's 435.5. The receiving yards are 399.5. Before I continue, sorry, Royal, I saw you just request. I'll get you back up here. MJ, you got your hand up. I'd be happy to hear somebody else's opinion on the Commanders before I keep ranting. Go ahead.
Definitely, yeah. My phone's about to die, so if I leave, it'll be unexpectedly. I love Jahan Dotson. I feel like last year everyone was slurping this guy. Remember last year he was getting like the 10th overall wide receiver in everyone's fantasy drafts, and completely busted to everyone's expectations. Not that he was pause, by the way. Not that he was some amazing receiver everyone expected him to be, but he definitely was. Put it in better words, not what everyone expected to be in terms of talent. I think this is his year. I think everyone was kind of 1 year late on him. And then an offense with a lot of different weapons with Eckler and a young guy like Jaden Daniels. I mean, I just think Jahan Dotson and Jaden Daniels are going to have some kind of chemistry in terms of, if I was Jaden Daniels in that situation, I'm looking to a young guy that's also developing his career, and Jahan Dotson is that. I see a lot of potential in a guy like him. And if we're looking at last year, I mean, he did the most of what he was presented in terms of opportunities. Not the best quarterback play, not the best offense. And in the new age of the Commanders, I think that's the guy we want to target over anyone. I don't have some deep analysis. I just think everybody is a little bit early on him compared to last year.
Well, let me throw in something that's coming from the Twitch chat, and that is 2 people are saying that the coaching staff, rumors, are not fans of Jahan Dotson. One person is saying there are rumors he might get traded. Dan Quinn was hesitant to name Dotson wide receiver 2 late last week. The only thing I can get involved with, or the only reason I would get involved with Jahan Dotson, is because I believe he's a Penn State guy, and I love Chris Godwin, and I like Penn State wide receivers, so I'm all good there. I thought he was a dog, so I'm a Dotson guy, but apparently that's the rumor.
Yeah.
So just making you
It's the eye test for me, and honestly, like, I can't look into that speculation too much because
fair.
At the end of the day, we've seen storylines like that last year that turn out, nothing to be true.
Fair.
I totally get what you're saying, but that's another team in the Commanders that we don't know what it's going to look like. So I would take the guy with the most upside and the most potential And the guy who hasn't lived up to it the most on that squad is Dawson. So
yep. Steak, you're a big Commanders guy this year. What do you like?
Yep. Well, I want to talk about what MJ said because I feel like what I'm about to mention sort of parlays with it. So, Scary Terry, I love him. I really do. I think he's awesome. I think he's done a lot with very little as far as quarterback play goes, and honestly, offensive line too. He's had 4 1,000 receiving yards in a row. This is my question. Why is he at 875.5 this year, especially when everyone seems to think that Jaden Daniels, even off rip, week 1, will be the most competent quarterback he's played with? Why is he at 875.5? Like
he's at 905.5 on Underdog. Just an FYI.
Okay, FanDuel, he's at 875.5. Both of those feel a little low to me. I guess I'm looking for someone to talk me out of that.
I cannot talk you out of that, but I can tell you about Jaden Daniels. He, in my opinion, and I feel like I know Jaden pretty well, Heisman last year, W's. He's got a nice ball. He throws a nice ball. He's not the best passer. I think the only reason I would advocate against any of the wide receivers for the Commanders, I do not think Jaden Daniels is a very confident passer. He is a threat with his legs. Now, it's a lot different when you're running around against fucking Ole Miss defenders and Missouri defenders than when you're running around fucking the NFC East and on FedEx Field. But I like his rushing yards. I don't like anything Jaden Daniels passing. He's 3150.5 passing yards, by the way, 525.5 rushing yards. That's going to be a straight wager for me, but I'm probably going to play it in my season long as well. 17.5 passing TDs, 5.5 rushing TDs. Steak, I'll let you finish up.
No, that was it. I got nothing else, Commander.
Okay. Crutch just got a. Yep.
Just to the Twitch chat, I don't know that I believe Diami Brown or Jamison Crowder is going to be wide receiver 2 over young Jahan Dotson. I'm not sure. That sounds like MJ said. I don't know. That sounds like one of those things that kind of a BS rumor. I'm not buying that.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough.
You're forgetting about Martavis Bryant from 2013.
Come on, him and Luke McCaffrey.
Jesus Christ. Crutch, what's up? Do you have something on the Commanders?
Yeah, I just wanted to speak on what Steak had just said, and it kind of reminded me of a conversation that a lot of people had last year around Mike Evans, because if I remember correctly, Mike Evans going into last year and still this year, he's never not had a 1,000-yard season, and his season-long prop last year was in a very similar, like high 800s, low 900-yard mark, and everyone was talking about with Baker, is he going to jump off? Is he going to go under his yards? Is he going to go under 1,000 for the first time? And it didn't matter. Mike Evans is Mike Evans, and he went and he did what he did, and he went up back over 1,000 yards again. So it just seems like a very similar conversation that you're bringing up with Scary Terry about that I remember hearing about Mike Evans last year, and it's just an oddly reminiscent point.
I like that. I like playing the deja vu game, or I feel like I've heard this before, comparing it to other narratives. So I'm good on that. I think Beeman said it in the Twitch chat. He said, you couldn't pay me to bet on a Commander prop. I'm kind of with you. The only thing I can really do is bet on Jaden Daniels' legs, but you're also trying to make sure that he stays healthy too, which I don't know that that's something the game you want to play. Fat Girls, you got your hand up? Fat Girls.
Got caught sleeping. Go to Kev.
All right, Kev.
Yeah, the one thing I want to say to kind of counter the Jaden Daniels thing, I mean, Brian Kelly is your guy running the offense type in LSU versus, yeah, he's a horrible head coach, but Cliff Kingsbury can do very great things with quarterbacks, and I think he'll excel as the offensive coordinator in Washington.
Wait, who's a horrible head coach?
Kingsbury.
Oh, right.
I mean, before Kyler's knee, he was throwing for nearly 4,000 yards.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Personally, I feel like there's a lot being relied on for Jaden Daniels as a passer. I know you hit your Heisman bet last year. I fucking love that for you. From everything I read in the training camp notes and whatever, the beat writers, his release is super fucking long. And that is a terrible fucking product in the NFL, in my opinion. Not in my opinion. I think it's going to translate to a terrible product in the NFL throwing-wise. I agree that his passing, his rushing, he'll be running all over the place. I don't see, and
Steak and rice.
This is what Jake was kind of alluding to. It's low because I think you like his under because of line. I don't like anything passing-wise. He might be behind all game, but do we really think Jaden Daniels is the passer that, I guess if you're saying that Kyler Murray is, because I don't think that's happening.
I don't, personally. I don't know about Kingsbury year one with Jaden Daniels. In a couple years, maybe. I can't get down on the Commanders. I like Eckler, lower than rushing yards, 4.35.5. I like Jaden Daniels higher than rushing yards. If anybody else has anything, feel free to chat. If not, I think we're going to move to the NFC South. Hand up for Kev. Go ahead. Last thoughts.
Yeah, the one thing I just want to counter there is he's kind of stuck right now in New York because he has Daniel Jones and they paid him and he didn't really have a choice there. But Brian Dable, he did very good things, and I think he has an eye for quarterbacks. I mean, he was absolutely in love with Jaden Daniels from the HBO show that they saw and him going through everything.
That is a good point. Can confirm from someone who also watched Hard Knocks. He did love Jaden Daniels. Okay. All right, good banter. Let's go to the NFC South. Does anybody like anything about the Saints this year? We got Derek Carr, Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed. Anybody like?
I got something.
Hit me.
Dennis Allen, first coach fired.
He's plus 275. I mean, that is crazy. Yes, Kev.
You're not going to touch on the Cowboys or the Eagles at all?
Oh, wait. We were just in the NFC.
Cowboys real quick.
No. Hold on. Let's start over. Reboot. Hold on. Absolutely, I want to talk about the Cowboys. Okay. Thank you for letting me know. All right, here we go.
Eagles, though, Kev.
Yeah, we did Eagles.
I had a Cowboys.
All right, hold on. Let me set the stage real quick. Here's who we got. We got CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Jake Ferguson. I know Javon likes Jake Ferguson. He's a tight end whisperer. I might tell something there. Zeke, who someone in the Twitch chat said Zeke over 5.5 rushing touchdowns is his favorite prop. I cannot do that. And Micah Parsons, 13.25 sacks. Kev, what do you have on? By the way, Kevin Kilner, we just brought you up. Hang tight. Let's see what Fuck Degen has, Fat Girls, and then we'll go to you. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't heard Javon's pitch, but I agree with him. I mean, Jake Ferguson was the number one targeted tight end in the red zone last year. Dak only has CD to look for. Ferguson is a volume guy. Dak's slated for, I think it was 4,225 yards on Underdog. I just don't see a way that Ferguson goes under that 700 mark.
So you like the yards over the touchdowns?
Well, I didn't see touchdowns on Underdog.
5.5 receiving touchdowns.
I like the over there. Well, like I said, he was the number one targeted tight end in the red zone last year. And with this offense, I don't think there's many options outside of CD and potentially Zeke. We'll see about that.
Sick Money says CeeDee Lamb is going for 1,700 yards this season. He's 13.99.5. Does anybody else have anything Cowboys related they want to touch on? I also want to talk a little bit about Dak.
I want to talk about CeeDee Lamb. How does he not? The only way he doesn't is if he doesn't sign this contract. How does CeeDee Lamb not go over that number? Who else is catching the ball from Dak Prescott? Who's going to what's Dak Prescott's line?
It is 42.25.5. Who is the other receiver?
Bro, that's what I'm talking about.
Brandon Cooks?
And Jalen Tolbert.
Thank you. Come on. Tell me this guy's not having 1,400 yards. He absolutely is. He's going to sign the contract and go well over 1,400 yards.
Is he going to lead the league in receiving?
That's what I think, yeah.
Okay. So you like CeeDee Lamb over or higher than receiving yards. Do you like anything else on the Cowboys?
I mean, I can't argue with anything that Kev or Javon is saying about Jake Ferguson. I liked him, but I don't want to just, echo those two guys.
Okay, fair enough. Crutch, you got your hand up. What do you like for the Cowboys?
Just echoing the CeeDee Lamb thing. I honestly think that if he doesn't sign the contract, he's liable to go even higher on his yards because he becomes an unrestricted free agent in the offseason. and the bigger the yards and the better his lines are, obviously the more he'll get paid in the offseason. So I think if you see CeeDee Lamb not sign a contract, I like it even more for him to go absolutely nuts this year.
Fair point.
Very fair, very fair.
Yep. MJ.
Yeah, I don't want to just beat a dead horse, but I think CD has the best situation in terms of offensive player of the year. That's how I played it, especially with McCaffrey dealing with this preseason bullshit. And I don't think he's going to have the year that he did last year. So, honestly, I think the best way to play it is offensive player of the year. I don't see any way he doesn't have 1,500 yards and double-digit touchdowns. I mean, Jake Ferguson is a great look, too. I'm sure that goes over, but this seems like the chalkiest wide receiver in terms of the top 5, top 10. That's going to soar over his passing yards, even more so than Justin Jefferson because of that QB situation. So,
mid-major, then Chewy. What's up, Matt?
I'll say it quick. I don't know which one of you DJ fam alluded to it about the Cowboys. No one's talking about the Cowboys. I think everyone wants to fade the Cowboys this year, which really concerns me. I fucking love Micah Parsons this year. I think he has 20 sacks. I think he just goes ballistic. And the fact that everyone now, there's no eyes on him at all. No one's talking about Micah Parsons. And he's perhaps the most physically gifted, just athletically wise, defensive player in the entire league. So his sacks over for me is an investment that I'm making for sure.
Very fair. I have nothing against Micah Parsons. He is a fucking freak. Chew, what's up, Cowboys?
So I just want to say the freaking Cowgirls. So all I want to say about them is Dak Prescott. The dude's gonna go under whatever his passing yards is. CD, he's gonna go over, and them boys are gonna choke in the playoffs. And 4 days before Halloween, they're losing by 20 or more.
Well, I wouldn't mind it if you're right, but I don't think you're right. Mike McCarthy, first coach fired, I think, is a play that Greg wants. I believe he's 6-1. I think he's the next shot on the board. Okay. And then real quick, Eagles. Steak and I we talked about in the beginning. We like Saquon the most out of anybody on the Eagles. Rushing touchdowns higher than 7.5 is what we're into. Okay. I think we are. Let's go to the NFC South. Does anybody like anything on the Saints? Matt, you had something on the Saints. Oh, you said Dennis Allen, first coach fired. That's fine. Nobody's exciting me. Nobody. Olave, Shaheed, Kamara, nobody's exciting me. Can we move on? I think we can move on. Let's go to the Panthers. Bryce Young, 18.5 passing touchdowns, 3,300.5 passing yards. Seems pretty high. Xavier Legette, you can get down on 3.5 receiving touchdowns, 500.5 receiving yards. Thielen, 557.5. That seems really low. 3.5 receiving touchdowns. Deontay Johnson. Greg knows him all too well. He's got his hand up too. I can't wait to hear what he says. I see we got 2 guys requested, by the way. I'm going to remove some people. Just if you want to come back up, feel free. I'm just going to make some room. Thielen, I just talked about him. Oh, and then Jadeveon Clowney, 6.25 sacks. There's nothing that I'm really excited about on the Panthers. Xavier Legette is a fun rookie. If you want to get down on something there, sure. Greg, what do you got for the Panthers?
Oh man, it's I said it, I raised my hand as soon as you said it, but it's Deontay Johnson under receiving yards. I have zero faith in this guy. And this is a bit biased because I am a Steelers fan, but if you look historically when the Steelers let a wide receiver go, right? So recently you have Chase Claypool, you have Juju, but you go back further, you have Antonio Brown. You have Santonio Holmes. You have Mike Williams. Like every receiver that they let go just turns to absolute trash.
That's a good point.
And I do not see this guy finding a footing because he complained last year when he didn't get the ball, and then he would drop it when he would get the ball. Like I just don't see him thriving in Carolina with with Bryce Young. I just don't see it happening. And I think everybody kind of looks at him as like, oh, they brought this guy in to help him. This is going to be Bryce Young's wide receiver number 1, and he can be really good. He had Kenny Pickett, and he still did okay. But I just think this guy got his paycheck, and he does not give a shit about going out and performing each week, especially on a Panthers team that I've heard some people like him, which is kind of surprising. But regardless, like, this team isn't doing anything this year, right? Like, at best, they can win the worst division of football. So I love his under, and that will absolutely be in mine.
All right, so Greg is going out on a limb. Well, not on a limb, but you got an under. I think an under is always ballsy, by the way. You'll get a lot of overs, you don't get a lot of unders. I like that. Deontay Johnson, Steak, you just came off mute, and then we'll go to DC, and then I got Mr. Skizzy.
Making it really quick.
Sure.
I agree with Greg. I'm so anti-Deontay Johnson. I just want to know if everyone knew. I know Greg probably knows this. Do you know that he had a year where he had 80 catches and 0 touchdowns?
I didn't.
Yeah, dude, you went like 2 years without a touchdown catch.
I think he stinks.
Damn. I never was like super anti Deontay Johnson. We got a thumbs up from Steven in the chat. DC, what do you got on the Panthers?
Speaking of Deontay Johnson, over receptions. I'm not. It's kind of. I got it at 62.5. I don't know what I got bumped, but I don't know what Underdog has. But the way I see it with Deontay is like Adam Thielen, like washed first of all, but he got 103 receptions last year, and like I don't think it's crazy to say that Deontay Johnson is a lot better than current Adam Thielen. And we have Canales coming in. I think the offense is going to be a lot better. We kind of saw him like with the Seahawks revive Geno as a quarterback, and with the Bucs, I mean Baker looked great. So it wouldn't be the craziest thing in the world to me to see the Panthers look better than they did last year. I just see if Thielen can get 103 receptions, and like Deontay should be able to get 63. It's like 4 receptions a game, and he'll get that. I don't know what it is on Underdog. I haven't checked that. But
I actually don't see a reception line, unfortunately, just okay. Yards, but that's okay.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be like, I think he's gonna do. I don't know how well he's gonna do in terms of yard. What were his yards at?
825.5.
Oh, that's a little high.
Yeah, that's why Greg likes the under.
I was seeing 750 at the beginning of the season when I was looking at FanDuel. It's got bumped up a little bit. I might be like somewhere in the middle of that, but I do like his receptions a lot. I think he's going to be. I mean, Canales has already said in press conferences he's the 1A.
I'm not buying the Panthers in year one of Canales. I think it's going to be a good team moving forward in a couple of years. I think Javon's on the Panthers train this year, and looking at what Canales did to Baker, look at what Canales did with Geno. Listen, I'm a Bucs fan, but we should pump the brakes. The Bucs, I think, were 1-7 versus playoff teams last year, or teams with a winning record. So I'm as excited as I am about Baker this year, and I think Canales is a good hire. I cannot get involved with anything Canales or Panthers in year one. But
yeah, I hear you. Also with Deontay, like obviously last year he's out for I think 3 games, so we didn't get his full work in, but. The 3 years before that, I mean, he had 140 plus targets. He just has kind of a dropping problem, and if he gets that figured out, I think 60, the number I got, is going to hit with ease. But it's also
fair enough.
Season-long props is, your guy goes down for even 2 games, you're kind of screwed. But.
Yep. All right. Thank you, DC. Mr. Skeezy, do you have anything on the Panthers? It's weird. You're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Can anybody hear Mr. Skeezy?
Yeah, you can't hear him?
No, I cannot hear him. He's talking?
Yeah.
No.
I can't hear him either.
Yeah, I can't. All right, Mr. Skeezy, come. Let me remove you. Come out and come back in. Maybe turn shut the app off and then close the app and open it back up and then come back and see if that works. I'll get you back up here. Oops. Royal, did you have something?
Yeah, I just want to say something real quick too. I think Leggett at 500.5 has some, I don't want to say like value, but I think it's a really good look. I mean, they traded up to get him, and I agree with you. There's a lot of Panthers hype, and for good reason, I guess. Like, seems like they got some good pieces, but I mean, we've all seen it kind of takes more than just one offseason to kind of turn it around a little bit. So I do think they're going to be trailing a little bit. I don't know if you watched him or know much about him, but this dude is an athletic specimen. Like, I don't know if you know what they call it, the RAS score for the combine. He has had like a top 20 RAS score since like the 70s or some bullshit. Like, this guy's an athletic monster, and I think he's easily the wide receiver 2, if not 1. I kind of think they're decoying Deontay a little bit to a certain extent, and I really think Leggett is the guy. Like I said, they traded back in the first to get him. Easily could build a connection with him and Bryce Young moving forward. And we saw last year with the Bucs and Canales. I mean, Godwin, Evans, and forget who the other guy was, but they kind of spread the ball out a lot. So I just think if a starting wide receiver is going to play every game, I think he could easily go over 500 yards in my mind, especially with no run game.
Fair enough. It's a bold pick in my opinion. MJ, what's up?
Yeah, I was just going to harp on Royal because if I'm imagining the Carolina offense, they've addressed some problems on the offensive line, which was like the biggest reason behind why Bryce Young couldn't find any success literally at all last season. To me, Leggett is going to be the guy who's going to be going over the middle of the field, similar to a DK Metcalf Lockett similarity, where Deontay is going to be taking the top off. He's the long ball guy. He's the guy that's getting 3 receptions, 60 to 80 yards. That's the type of guy Deontay Johnson is. Targeting his receptions, I think, is a misplay, especially when it comes to a guy who Steak and Greg know best, especially Greg. The guy's a cancer when things aren't going well, and I think it's the opposite kind of guy you need in a developing, young, talented room that the Panthers are becoming. Leggett, I think, is going to be underestimated, and the only reason his lines are as low as they are is because he's on one of the worst offenses, or at least last year, coming into this year. So, in my eyes, I think that's what everyone's perception is. Getting a new guy who's already has a proven track record is a lot more comfy than a rookie, no matter how good he is, to this situation. So, for me, I like Leggett, and I also wouldn't mind dabbling in Bryce Young rushing yards. I don't know if that's on Underdog or not, but I think that's a decent look, too.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. We have spent quite a bit of time on the Carolina Panthers. Mr. Skeezy, let's try this again. Did you have something?
Yeah, can you hear me this time?
I can hear you now. Yep, great.
All right, so real quick, if you're good with this, great. I actually requested when we were on the East, and then I have one thing with the Saints, too, if you want me to.
Sure. Nobody had anything on the Saints. Feel free.
Yeah, so with Saints, I like Raheem Shaheed. Big reason being is I think it tracks well both for the Saints and
anybody like Shaheed?
His style. You know, Olave is going to be the one as a pass catcher. The 2 is probably going to be Kamara in reality. And then so I think that just opens up. That's where defenses are going to set their focus. I think it'll open it up for Shaheed. I think it very well fits kind of Carr in the past back with the Raiders when Hunter Renfrow had his big year, where he was kind of that third guy that you would expect to be a pass catcher there. And so the defense is focused on the primary 2. That third guy kind of just eats, and Renfrow broke for 1,000. I think Shaheed at his numbers could be a good play.
Okay. I think that's fair. Does anybody have any thoughts on the Saints while we're here? I'm glad somebody brought someone on their team up.
He's the only guy on the Saints I would like, with the exception of, and this is probably a stupid one because I'm sure there's probably not a lot of props on him. I kind of like A.T. Perry, but Rashid Shaheed's the only guy on the Saints I think you can make a case for. I don't like Olave at all.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Skeezy, was that yards that you liked on him?
Yeah, yards.
Okay. All right, good stuff. Well, thank you for coming back in. Sorry that there was an error beforehand, but all right. So that's so we got Saints, we talked Falcons, we talked the fuck out of the Panthers. Now it's my Bucks. Let's talk about the Bucks. I don't know what I'm going to think about the Bucks in general this year. I know Greg is probably fucking smirking, so we'll see what he has to say in a little bit. But here's what I am going to say. I do think Baker Mayfield is a guy that I would put some coins in. All right, how to do it is the question. I think it's passing touchdowns, and the problem is Canales is gone, as we just talked about. So you got a new offensive coordinator. This guy Liam Cohn. I'm not going to act like I know everything about him because I don't. But he's from the Sean McVay tree. That's all I really know. And that excites me. I like a young guy. I'm glad we didn't regurgitate some old fart for offensive coordinator. So there's 2 guys I want to get down on. I really want to get down on Rachaad White, but I started to cool off on him because there's still some question marks on the offensive line. And we have a new offensive coordinator. Canales really, as good as he was with quarterbacks, he also, I think that had to do with because he emphasized the running game. And so that threat of the run was there, and it wasn't really successful in the beginning of the season. Rachaad White ended up looking really good towards the end of the year. And I told myself last year, I'm going to buy Rachaad White stock. I did draft him on my fantasy team. I don't know if he's going to be that good. Not confident enough to bet him. Receiving yards, rushing touchdowns. Those are the options on Underdog. If you want to get involved, and again, if you're just joining, sign up, promo code DGen, 50% deposit match. Baker Mayfield, 23.5 passing touchdowns. I would go higher. You might tell me that's low. Maybe it's for a reason. Maybe it's suspicious. I don't know. Chris Godwin, unfortunately, his receptions aren't there. I don't know that I want to go yards. They're at 900.5 or 4.5 touchdowns. I would go receptions. I'm going to take the receptions straight wherever I can find it. I think it was like 70.5 or something. But I like Baker Mayfield passing touchdowns. Greg, you had your hand up. Do you have anything on the Bucs?
You're gonna hate me so much.
You like Baker Mayfield under touchdown passes?
I like under across the board. Baker just had a career year on touchdowns and yardage last year, career year, and I think you see two different Bakers when you have Baker with no expectation versus Baker with high expectations, or expectations, we'll say. And he just got paid, and he's the guy there, so you know the expectations are there. I won't directly fade you, so I'll tell you what, whatever you take, I'll take the under the opposite. So if you take passing touchdowns over, I'll take yardage under. Is that fair? So that way I'm not rooting directly against you.
Sure. That's fair. That's more than fair.
Hitting, by the way. So I don't care which one I take.
Okay.
I'm very confident they're both hitting.
Yeah. Okay. Very good stuff, Greg. Matt, you have your hand up?
Yeah, and I hate to say this.
God damn it.
I fucking hate Greg, but I'm pro Greg in this argument.
Oh, God.
I think the post Dave Canales effect, I think it's real. Greg, nail on the head. Baker with expectations, the worst fucking division in the league, right? He should perform well again. I can't put money on that guy. I'm happy that you can. Maybe it's a hometown bias. That would be the first time.
Snowman Sports, W-Raid.
But I can't buy into Baker without Canales for sure.
I just wanted to let you know what the Twitch chat is saying. Somebody said, rare Greg W. Fatherhood has changed him. And then somebody put 3 arrows up, which I think indicates that he's agreeing with them, complimenting Greg. So that's great. So Matt agrees with Greg, Beeman, and Hinwit in chat. So I'm on an island. I'm on Baker Island. And you know what? I'm fine here. I think that Baker is a Tampa guy. He's a Tampa guy. It's all about the fit. It's all about the fit.
So is Taj Bradley.
Can we stop talking about Taj Bradley? All I do is get shit for betting and slurping on the Rays every single day in, day out. I haven't said one thing about Taj Bradley all day. I'm trying to focus on NFL. I got 17 people in the Twitch chat, in my DMs, telling me it's Taj Bradley day. I've been great. And here you guys are, just bad influences about Taj Bradley. 2025 Cy Young, though. That will be on my card. Steak, anything on the Bucs?
Yeah, if you want to make you feel a little better, I'm at least pro $1 guy. Can I talk about him?
Can you guys stop asking me if you have to talk about it? Yes!
I was going to go right into it anyway.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Rashad White, and I know that's weird because a lot of people don't like Rashad White, and I know they draft Bucky Irving, and I want to tell you why I like Rashad White. He had 990 rushing yards last year, and I know a lot of that is because of volume. He only averaged like 3.8 or 9 yards a carry. But he had 60 receptions for 500 yards, which is even more volume for a guy who only fumbled the ball 3 times. And I think he's actually proven to be an incredibly reliable running back in rushing and receiving. And everybody's acting like Bucky Irving. The situation I want to first of all point out reminds me a little bit of Zach Charbonnet, when everyone's like, oh, Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker are going to split carries 50-50 and better watch out for Kenneth Walker. And last year, Kenneth Walker had 1,000 yards, 9 touchdowns, and he missed 3 games. And he out-carried Charbonnet 2.5 to 1 while missing 3 games. So Bucky Irving is 5'9", 180 pounds. I'm just not buying him going 50-50 or anything close with Rashad White. I think Rashad White's still the workhorse, and like I said, he catches the ball, he doesn't drop it, he doesn't fumble it, and I don't know exactly what way I want to attack Rashad White, but I do like him.
Yeah, see, that's my problem, Steak. I'm with you on Rashad White, and I love everything you just said. I think if Baker goes under his yards, it's probably because he's not throwing the deep ball. They're actually the running game is successful. Maybe he's dinking and dunking a little bit. And Rashad White goes over his rushing yards. So I'd probably go higher rushing yards there. I took a flyer on him to have the most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. And it's basically a hedge for Baker as 30-plus touchdown passes. I know Greg is probably laughing or just spit out his Amaro as he heard me say that. One of those is hitting. Baker is either having 35 touchdown passes or Rashad White is having 18 rushing touchdowns. Yeah, that's 1 a game. Sorry, I just saw we got a speaker request from Dottie. So before we move on from the butt, go ahead, Steak. Go ahead.
Just to harp on it one more. Anybody who's up here as a speaker, isn't it insane that Rashad White had 1,500 plus scrimmage yards last year? and everyone's talking like a midget's going to take his job that they drafted in the 5th round or whatever that was.
I don't know.
Kind of crazy.
I think can we get canceled for saying midget or no?
I didn't say that. I don't know. Little person.
Okay, that's fine. Well, here's the thing. Also, I think you need to respect Bucky Irving a little bit because I know you weren't an Oregon guy. You were a Washington investor. Bucky Irving is a dog. If Cam's money was in here right now, he'd probably put you in your place, even though I think he might be somewhat scared of you. Bucky Irving can play football. But I think the Zach Charbonnet comparison was great. I don't think he's going to take anything away from Rachaad White. If you watch, and I was a bad Bucs fan last year, but if I did watch the Bucs towards the end, I actually went to a bar from noon to midnight, drank about 10 Guinnesses, and I got so excited for the Bucs-Lions game, which ended up being fucking miserable. But if you watch Rachaad White last year, it's impossible to deny that he ended up being a serviceable fucking weapon, dual threat, receiving and rushing. Go ahead, Steak.
The last thing I want to say is Bucky Irving is giving me Deuce Vaughn vibes.
Is it Zach Charbonnet or Deuce Vaughn? Which one is it?
No, the situation was like Zach Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker. As a player, he's giving me Deuce Vaughn vibes.
Okay, fine, fair enough. I have no slander from Bucky Irving. Weston just invited or asked to come in. Do you have anything on the Bucs? Oh, Fat Girls, what's up? Do you have something on the Bucs?
I just wanted to say something real quick, and I think this is gonna fucking make you guys shit your pants. All the fantasy nerds, like they are afraid about what's his name, Rachaad White. But I saw a funny tweet last night saying that Bucky Irving, considering his size and all that, kind of reminds him of Devin Singletary when he compared him to James Cook. I thought I'd just add that.
That's interesting. Yeah, and Steak wants to bet on Devin Singletary. Steak's got to be the only fucking guy on the planet that wants to bet on Singletary. And by the way, I'm not that tapped in with fantasy football this year. So if anybody does know who the fantasy nerds love, please tell me. I'm not going to go out there and fade them all by any means, but I do like to be cognizant of that. W, big word. Weston, before I go to Pete, Weston, did you want to just hang out or did you have anything? Just being polite.
Just hanging out.
Okay. Pete, what do you have? We're talking player props here. We're actually going to go to the Rams next, and then we're going to the AFC. Do you have anything that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah. First of all, what's up, everybody?
Hello.
Hello. I had a question. I've been looking into player props for the last, couple weeks, and, I found some good ones, but one that I can't get out of my head, and I'm not sure if I want to bet it yet, and that's why I wanted to come in here and ask you guys. Tony Pollard under 5.5 rushing touchdowns. Now, that sounds pretty random, but with the Cowboys, this guy, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but in terms of red zone usage, he was one of the least efficient running backs in the NFL last year, and he only had 3 rushing touchdowns. Now he goes to Tennessee. You assume trailing game scripts, most likely. Of course, it's hard to guess that, but the Titans are not going to be very good. So I don't know how many times Titans are in the red zone rushing with Tony Pollard, especially when they have Spears in there. He only had 3 last year, but they're just hanging a 5.5, and it hasn't moved.
Yes.
And it feels like the easiest under I've ever seen, but that's scaring me. So I wanted to come here and ask, what am I missing?
Well,
just need to grow up here, buddy. What do you mean? Like, just bet it and say fuck it?
If you like it, believe in yourself, your conviction, bet it.
Well, no, it's not just that. I just wanted to come in, pop in, see what the other NFL guys say. If they have something that maybe is against it,
I have something.
Consider different opinions.
Yes, I have something. So here, somebody in the chat said McCarthy didn't run the ball. He was allergic to that shit. I don't know if it was Tony Pollard's fault. I can't act like I watched every Cowboys game, so I don't know if that is true or not. However, I will tell you that 2 years ago, I took a flyer on Tony Pollard most rushing yards at an absurd price, and there was a little excitement, as you could see, the decline of Zeke and the rise of Tony Pollard. I was shocked at the lack of production at Tony Pollard last year. I mean, this guy it was just night and day. So I am out on Tony Pollard. I am more than happy to cash all my stock. His number on Underdog is 6.5. But when it comes to the Titans, I am okay to go under across the board. I am not a believer in this team. I don't know about this head coach coming over, Brian Callahan. He's got his dad, who's actually a pretty good offensive line coach, I think. But this guy's coming from Cincinnati. He didn't call the plays. Maybe he's going to be a bright young head coach at some point. I don't think it's year one. with a guy like Will Levis. And I think it's a team that consists of players just there to get a paycheck, have a great time in Nashville where Weston lives. I couldn't imagine being a professional athlete with making multi-million-dollar going to Nashville. You're there to have a great time. And I don't know that you're there to win games. So anything that's under for the Titans, I am a yes. Before I see what DC has to say, Steak, you're off of mute.
Yeah, I want to play devil's advocate, but first I want to say I absolutely despise Tony Pollard. I think he stinks. The reason I'm going to play devil's advocate for you, Pete, is because I don't know who else gets the ball at first and goal from the two for the Titans, because I don't think Tyjae Spears is that guy. And then who's the other running back? Hassan Haskins. And so I just worry he's like the only option inside the 5. And that's the only reason I don't love the under touchdown.
Well, Will Levis can run too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah,
and I don't think we're like totally sold that it's not going to be Spears in that situation. Like I agree with you, Steak. I don't know, but I don't think that we could just say no. It's definitely not. I know he's a littler guy, but so is Pollard, right? And Pollard's getting a little up there in age. I don't know if they want to be, smashing into offensive linemen on the 2 with him all year when he hasn't even proven that he can stay healthy for a considerable amount of time. So, but the reason why I wanted to ask, because in terms of, sticking with your gut, I have like 20 units pending in NFL futures. It's just this one I've been looking at, when you bet NFL props and you bet an over, it's always good to say that maybe the year before, right, he underachieved, and then you're betting on, a positive, game script form in next year. But with this one, he only had 3 on the Cowboys, and now goes to the Titans, and he's at 5.5 and up to 6.5 on Underdog. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I think it's a fair read, and I co-sign it. I'm actually personally on Calvin Ridley under 5.5 receiving touchdowns. I think that's a way I'd play it. But what Steak was saying about we don't know who's going to get the ball, I do think the fact that Will Levis is a running quarterback always helps, correlates a little bit. Before I go to DC, Weston, you're off mute. What's up?
I'm saying go for it, man. I mean, anytime hit the under on these running back props. Good example last year, Andrew Madison was supposed to lead the Vikings promised land and smash all these touchdowns in. And how many touchdowns did he have last year? 13 games?
I don't know. He had one.
He's supposed to be the Vikings lead running back. So always, I believe in these props, especially don't be afraid to hit the unders.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to end up playing it small.
DC, do you have anything on this topic?
Yeah, I was just going to say I saw somewhere, I think inside the 5 last year for Tony Pollard, I believe he had the worst conversion rate in the entire NFL. I think he was I swear he was 3 for 20. It was something crazy.
Yeah, those were some of the stats that I was looking at too, and I didn't remember them off the top of my head, but it the numbers were horrific. But now his touchdown line is double of what it was last year. And you're older and a worse team.
Exactly. It's kind of what, he had 6 touchdowns last year on the Cowboys. Now he goes to the...
No, he had 3 touchdowns last year on the Cowboys, and now he goes to the Titans, and he's at 5.5 or 6.5.
ESPN just wrong? It says 6 on air.
Could be receiving.
Yeah, it could be both.
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, regardless, I just wanted to chime in and say he was an awful red zone option.
Yeah. Steak.
I just got to mention, Will Levis had 57 rushing yards on 25 attempts last year, so I don't want to go calling him a running quarterback.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Pete, if you want to sit tight, we're wrapping up the NFC, and we're talking about your Los Angeles Rams.
I have to go, but I want
to
drop one more long shot.
Go ahead.
For everybody. A bet that I'm obsessed with is Devon Achane to lead the league in rushing at 30-1.
Shut up.
What do you mean?
Are you? You're fucking with me.
No.
Mid-Major Matt did the same fucking thing last week. Did he DM you to say this?
No, I swear.
I already tweeted this, you fuck faces. I'm on Devon Achane to lead the league in rushing 38-1.
Okay, perfect. You got a better line than me. Congratulations.
I don't even care. I don't even fucking care about getting the better line. I'm not a CLV fucking asshole over here. But Mid-Major and POD Pete coming in here talking about Devon Achane leading the league and rushing. I feel like I found this shit fucking when the Declaration of Independence got signed. Anyways, go ahead. Give me your spiel.
No, if you've given it out, you've probably gone over the spiel.
I literally tweeted it as I was like at a bar on my 4th beer, and I got a lot of shit for it. But feel free, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, I mean, if we're looking at a guy who's averaging 9.8 yards per carry, he reminds me a lot of Jamal Charles. He's a blaze of speed, and I feel like he didn't really get into everybody's minds last year. And of course, you have Raheem Mostert, who led the league in touchdowns, but this is a guy. Talking to all my friends who are big Dolphins fans, they're already counting Raheem Mostert out of the season because they actually got one healthy year out of him, and he hasn't been able to prove that he's staying healthy. And with Mike McDaniel too, especially if Tua or Tyreek Hill were to get injured, because again, they're two guys who have been perfectly healthy when there's no guarantee there. So HN can become legitimately the offense for the Dolphins. And the fact that he's averaging 9.8 yards per carry and how fast he is, like, I think the sky's the limit for him, but I think he's priced at 30-1 because of Mostert, but Mostert's over 30 years old and often injured. Like, it's not a huge, sell job, but it's the number is just off.
Yeah, mid-major Matt requested to come up here. Do you have something to say on this topic, Matt? I feel like you do because you like it as well.
I just want to make it clear, I actually do not like it. I stole your thunder on Trevor Lawrence. I would not place a shit bet like Devon HM leading the league in receptions. So,
wow, that's true. I'm getting robbed. I'm getting mugged from both sides between you guys. No, in all seriousness, Pete, I'll tell you this. Somebody had brought it up, and I don't know if it was Fat Girls. And again, I'm not saying it's because I was looking to fade it. But anytime somebody says a line looks low, I always wonder if there's a reason why. And somebody had mentioned that the passing yards for Tua had looked low. I think it was like 36 or 3,800. I guess I can go see what Underdog has. But anyways, oh no, it's 4,100 and a half. What am I talking about? Anyways, I guess he soared over his yards last year. They look lower than usual. Maybe it got bumped up. But I thought to myself, well, maybe it's because Mike McDaniel and the Dolphins want to run the ball. If you follow, I'm not following the beat writers for all 32 teams, but I do listen to Adam Chernoff, and he has some Dolphins guys on and talked about them a little bit. It sounds like they do very much want to run the ball. And then if you read Warren Sharp's book, something that they did that Mike McDaniel did very well was adapt. And 2 years ago, he didn't run outside very often. He ran between the tackles, and it wasn't as efficient. The second year, last year, he started running the outside zones a lot more, evenly distributed where the ball was going, not just between the tackles. And the running game was fantastic. And HN was a big part of that, obviously. The only concern I have is the running back they drafted out of Tennessee is incredibly fast. So I am a little worried that this guy is probably going to get a few of those touches. But nevertheless, given that it was a long shot play, I'm more than happy to be on it. And I like HN.
Me too. So we'll see what happens, but appreciate you guys.
Of course. Take it easy, Pete. Thanks for coming in. DC, did you have something on that note?
Yeah, just quickly. You were talking about fantasy nerds who they love.
Yes.
A-Tan is probably top 5 in fantasy nerds. Like as a fantasy guy, like I've seen a lot of
1,000%. 1,000%.
All right. Well, I'm hanging out with the fucking fantasy nerds, and I guess we're gonna.
Bad thing. I mean.
No, I mean, look.
Fantasy stuff, it's 50-50. You never really know.
Yeah, no, that's okay. I don't mind being aligned with smart people. I just want to make that clear. It only gets a little concerning when it's everybody in the room likes one side. Yeah. Okay, let's does anybody have anybody on the Rams? I'm looking at Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford, Puka Nacua, Blake Corum, and Kyron Williams. I am a little nervous about Kyron Williams this year, as much as I loved him. He's from Notre Dame. I got watched a ton of him. Absolute fucking dog through and through. Not a big guy. Every single time he got the ball, he was running for his life. Love him. I thought it was a great draft pick. I think Greg knows because he's in my fantasy league. I took him. My team, I think he's one of the big reasons I got runner-up. No big deal. And made it to the finals. Now, I'm going to tell you this. I respect Blake Corum. And Steak, you were a big Michigan guy, Michigan better. And I hate Michigan. But Blake Corum is a bad motherfucker. So the fact that you now have 2 bad motherfuckers back there, I still think Kyron Williams is probably the fan favorite, and I'm sure Sean McVay's favorite. But I am wondering if you start to feel a little bit more comfortable about Kyron getting some rest or maybe a little bit more of the share of the backfield if Corum gets a chance and impresses. So I don't really know that I want to get involved with anything there. I am going to fade the Rams on the season. I'm going to take their under win total. I just think their defense, I think that's too big of a loss with Aaron Donald. And not only that, but Raheem Morris, defensive coordinator, I think they did a great job last year. I believe they had the 4th best odds last season to have the worst record in the NFL. I think they were top 5. I think they were the 4th. What they were able to do defensively with a bunch of nobodies was very impressive. Now, maybe it turns out that these guys on defense are actually pretty good. We'll find that out pretty quickly, I bet. I know they got the guy, the defensive back from the Bills. Was it God, somebody help me out. White? Travion White? Does that sound right? He's very good. Tre'Davious White. So I'm sure they got some dudes. I'm going to fade the Rams. I don't like anything on Underdog with these players. If anybody does, feel free to speak up. And then I'm going to go to the Cardinals here. And then I just realized we've been doing this for quite a while, so we'll go rapid speed in the AFC. If anybody just has a team or a player, just throw them out. Cardinals, Trey McBride, only receiving yards, no touchdowns. Kyler Murray, I love Kyler Murray this year. Steak, you're off mute. What's up?
Can I do a Rams guy real quick?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Sorry.
You mentioned it, so I won't touch on it again, but I do think the Rams defense is going to stink. I think they're going to be really bad. I think they'll miss Raheem Morris. And I think the Rams are going to be playing from behind a lot more than people
I like it so far. Smooth, clean interface.
75.5 is what I have him on FanDuel.
Maybe.
I know I'm gambling on his health. I know over the past couple seasons that's risky, but if he is healthy, he's getting 1,000 yards. I see a lot of Puka love. He's a little banged up as well. So, yeah, I'm going to take a little flyer on Cooper Kupp to have a healthy season where he'll definitely go over 1,000 yards.
Okay, fair enough. So you're chalky with Cooper and CeeDee.
I don't know if Cooper Kupp's chalky. I don't know. You heard a lot of people like Cooper Kupp? I've heard all Puka.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Cardinals, Steak, where are we at with the Cardinals? Greg, are we all – I mean, I remember we love the Cardinals, and then we got a little nervous because we're like, holy fuck, everybody likes the Cardinals.
I'm on them.
You're on them? Okay. Steak, are you on the Cardinals?
No, I'm not, but I'm not fading them. I'll let somebody else talk, and then I'll give my opinion on them after.
So we've got Fat Girls. I'll get to you next. We've got Marvin Harrison Jr., who I absolutely love. How could you not? 1,075.5 receiving yards. That's a lot, and it's probably for good reason. Trey McBride, James Conner, who I'm like sneaky like James Conner. 725.5 rushing yards, pretty low. 5.5 rushing touchdowns. Michael Wilson, Trey Benson. He's got about 500.5 rushing yards. And Kyler, I mean, if I'm taking anything in this offense, it's Kyler probably, or James Conner over rushing touchdowns. Somebody in the chat, Larry Beeman, says McBride over yards is a bomb. Fair enough. Fat Girls, what do you like on the Cardinals?
I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, not earlier, a month ago when we did that stream, but I can't get there with the Cardinals like on a win total or anything, but I think it's really like getting hard for me to stay away from the Cardinals offense. And I think the best way to do it, honestly, is just kind of how Steak did with Kupp. I think I'm just going to gamble on Kyler's health and go with his pass plus rush touchdowns. Don't know if they offer that on Underdog. I just think that's way too low with a guy that's going to stay healthy with Marvin. James Conner's obviously still there with Trey McBride, and I really like Michael Wilson too. I think he's undervalued, and he was a guy that was there for them last year. So all in all, I think I'm going to be on Kyler's props.
Okay. More than fair. I think we just about wrapped up the NFC. We can go over to the AFC. I'm just looking at what I have right now in my cart. Saquon over rushing touchdowns. Caleb Williams over passing yards or higher than passing yards. Sorry, I got to get better about that. Jamison Williams higher than 699.5 receiving yards. Baker Mayfield higher than 23.5 passing TDs. I did take out Kirk Cousins lower than passing yards. I think at the end of the day, you know what? I don't know that I want to root against Kirk. I've been on Kirk so many times. Steak. Oh, Greg, you have your hand up too. What's up, Steak?
Just want to mention that Trey McBride is also another person that fantasy guys love.
Yep, for good measure. He's a very good player. Greg.
Yeah, I don't know if you touched on the Seahawks when I wasn't here, but I am looking to fade Geno, so I'll probably have him on there. Likely yards, but I could also be persuaded on touchdowns. But Geno Smith for the Seahawks is definitely on my card. I'm just not sure if it's like he's on my final 10. I'm not sure he's gonna make the final 6, basically.
Okay, I think that's fair. I've got Hovey. Sorry, you got your hand up. Feel free.
No, I just wanted to lead off for the AFC, so continue.
God, you antsy motherfucker. All right, hang tight. We're almost there.
Do you have any unders?
No, I need an under, don't I?
Well, I mean,
We had Kirk.
That's what the pros do. They hit the unders, man.
All right. I'm going under Kirk.
I'm three. The only three that I have right now on my list are all unders.
You know, Greg, usually I'd say fuck Greg, but I'm proud of you, Greg. Good job.
Everybody keeps saying that. I don't like that. They're like, well, usually I'm fuck Greg, but you know what? This time Greg's great. What's going on here? Dilly Daggers just requested. I think I have the entry, at least my entry. Dilly Daggers, what's up? All right, we'll come back to you. Wait, you know what? This is unfair. Is this my entry or is this our entry? Steak, Greg, should this be our entry?
I mean,
I'm doing my own.
It's DGen and Friends.
All right, this can be the DGen and Friends entry then. This is what I have. I have Saquon over rushing touchdowns, Caleb higher than passing yards, Jameson higher than receiving yards. Should I take Baker higher than passing touchdowns out?
Yes.
Okay. Jane Daniels higher than receiving or rushing yards. Should I take that out?
Nah, I like that one personally. But
All right. Steak, give me one of your favorite NFC player props.
Well, I gave it to you at the beginning of this. My favorite is Saquon rushing touchdowns.
Oh, that is your favorite.
And then I like that, and I like CeeDee Lamb. I love CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. We'll do CeeDee Lamb. Okay, here it is. Dilly Daggers, yes.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you now. What's up?
Okay, cool. I just wanted to get this in before I moved on to the AFC. So a person that I'm not hearing a lot of love for, maybe I just missed the Falcons segment, was Kyle Pitts. It seems like everyone's talking about Drake London and Bijan, and rightfully so. But, you know, if you look at TJ Hawkinson's volume last year with Kirk Cousins, I think he had 95 receptions, close to 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Pitts, in his press conference, his opening press conference, it's Kirk Cousins with the Falcons, they asked about Kyle Pitts because he had Kirk Cousins' jersey number. So, long story short, Pitts told Cousins for his jersey number he didn't want to get paid for it. He just wants more targets. So that 64.5 reception line is really glaring at me considering no one's talking about him at all. And he's got love from the quarterback already.
I just can't do it. I think it's an interesting point, an angle. Anybody else going to get involved, Steak?
Yeah, I hope you're right. As a Florida Gator fan, I really want you to be right. But
Me too.
We're on year 3 of this is the year for Kyle Pitts breakout, and I have heard every excuse in the world. I know the quarterback play sucks, but I just want us to accept that there may be a reality that Kyle Pitts is never going to be who everyone thinks he's supposed to be.
Yeah. I hate to say it, but I agree. And I love Kyle Pitts. Or I loved. Okay, let's thank you, Dilly, though. I appreciate that. All right, the entry is in. $100 to win $2,500. Here we go. Saquon, higher than 7.5 rushing TDs. Caleb Williams, higher than 3,600.5 passing yards. Jameson Williams, higher than 699.5 receiving yards. Jane Daniels, higher than 525.5 rushing. Kirk, lower than 4,000.5 passing, and CD higher than receiving. Kirk, CD, Jaden Daniels, Jameson Williams, Caleb Williams, and Saquon. 100 pays 2,500. That is officially in. All right, I'm going to the AFC. I know we've been doing this for a while. Thank you guys for hanging out. If you are signing up with Underdog, promo code DGen, 50% deposit match, up to $250. Let's go. Let's just go right out of the gate. Let's go to the AFC North. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. No. Let's go AFC South. Hovey, you have waited so patiently to talk about stupid fucking Evan Ingram, who you only like because he's an ex-Giants player and you slurp everything New York.
I'm a Jets fan. I can't stand the fucking Giants.
Okay. No, but in all seriousness, I do like Evan Ingram. I like Trevor Lawrence passing yards. I have him passing leader. So go ahead and lead us off with the Jags.
Okay, I'll make this very short, simple. Evan Ingram over 3.5 touchdowns. Calvin Ridley top 5, actually top 3 last year in regards to red zone targets. you're getting rid of all those targets. I think it was like about 25 plus, maybe 21 plus targets are now gone. The main bright side to me, kind of an angle that I kind of find on FanDuel that I found last year with Ayuk's receiving yards, which was my favorite play, and not to toot my own horn, and soared by week 10. Evan Ingram touchdowns is at 3.5. Now, if you look at his 6+ touchdown number, it is at plus 150. The same number that his rookie, that I know Greg is a fan of, I believe, this year, Brian Thomas, his number is at 5.5. And on FanDuel, it's at 6+ touchdowns at the same exact number at plus 150. So based on value alone, where on these apps like PrizePicks, Underdog, they're giving us Evan Ingram at 3.5. 4 touchdowns, but they're giving us Brian Thomas at 2 touchdowns higher. But on FanDuel, they have them both at the same exact odds practically to get 6 touchdowns, where the number discrepancy is off in regards to these season-long numbers. Sell job-wise, obviously not just completely line reading. Doug Peterson tight ends have gone over this number every single year. Evan Ingram last year is second in his team in regards to targets, second in regards to yardage. His first 2 years with the Jaguars, he's gone over this number. DJ, and I know you're going to say, let's target his yards. It's not his yards. It's his touchdowns. He's getting in the end zone 4 times. I'm taking his touchdowns up to 8 at plus 390 as well.
Jesus. Okay. Hey, if you're going to go all in, go all in. I like it. All right. I have no issues, no qualms, no beef. It's going to go in the entry out of courtesy for Hovey. So Evan Ingram higher than 3.5 receiving touchdowns is in there. While we're on the Jags, Greg, you probably like Brian Thomas Jr. higher than 800.5 receiving yards. Trevor Lawrence is basically 4,000 passing yards. I'm obviously very into that. I don't want to get involved with Travis Etienne anything, and I don't like Chris Kirk. Does anybody have anything on the Jags before we move on?
Hovey hit it. I like Brian Thomas. I don't want to put him in the entry. I like the Jags, so I should mention that I do expect big years out of Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne, but for the entry sake, I don't want to add any of them. Okay.
Let's go to the Colts. Anthony Richardson. Every which way you can do rushing touchdowns, passing yards, rushing yards, passing TDs. Michael Pittman Jr., 5 reception TDs, 1,050 receiving yards. I don't care for any of the defenders here. DeForest Buckner, Latu, Jonathan Taylor, and Adonai Mitchell. I'm not really into any of these guys. Donation in the Twitch asked, do you like Ingram receptions? Yes, I do. It's not offered on Underdog, but I do like that. You guys like anything Colts related for this entry? I'm going to pass.
I have a fear of them having too many weapons to pick the right one.
Yep.
Because I actually do love Adonai Mitchell. I think Josh Downs takes a giant leap. I think Michael Pittman's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to think about Alec Pierce, but I feel like Colts people actually really like him, and I just don't know how you target a guy. I do think Jonathan Taylor is going to see a giant workload, but I don't even want to add him to the entry, you know?
Yeah, I don't either. I agree with you. Okay, let's go to the Texans. You guys were the Texans whisperers last year. Great job. We're not going to go back to them again. I don't know that either of us. Yes, Greg, you got your hand up. Go ahead.
No, keep setting the stage. I just got somebody on the Texans.
Okay. So I don't think we're going to go fade them, though. I don't think any of us have the balls to, but we're not really into the Stephon Diggs signing, and they just might have too many egos in there. But they also have a ton of talent. So at the end of the day, I'm not here to be a fucking Captain Contrarian and look like a genius if the Texans don't do well. But you've got a ton of guys that you can wager or that you can get involved with here. CJ Stroud, Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Tank Dell, Joe Mixon, only the rushing yards, 875.5, or Danielle Hunter, my dog, 10.7.5 sacks. CJ is at 42.75 passing yards, 28.5 passing touchdowns. I don't know what to do. Greg, what do you like in this?
I was going to say, could I interest you in Diggs' yards under? I think he's just on the tail end, and it's starting to spiral. And there's so many other good weapons here. The one thing, too, in this division is I really like Nico Collins and Tank Dell, so I could absolutely just stop being a hater and take one of them. But if you look at the rest of the division, like the Jags' biggest weakness is the secondary. The Titans, they got a bunch of
Colts, their biggest weakness too is the secondary. So I do think the Texans will be able to put up numbers and points against those teams. And the reason I would err towards Diggs yards under instead of TDs is I do think he'll piss and moan, and they will probably get him some touchdowns out of sympathy and out of trying to keep him shut up. So I'd rather look toward yards rather than touchdowns. But that was probably my favorite one on here. But I would certainly co-sign anything around Nico Collins or Tank Dell to the positive. Just want to be negative on Diggs.
Okay. All right. I'm putting that in. So right now we have.
Real quick.
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
sorry, but it's actually insane. I swear to God, Greg, I was about to pitch that, and I don't think we've talked about it yet, right?
No.
I know you're a Diggs hater, but yeah.
It's so perfect, and I want to be clear. Like, I've called Diggs a diva before. It was public knowledge that he's a diva, I feel like. And I also said he was going to take a step in the wrong direction last year. I know he still had 1,100 yards, but he definitely took a step down last year. He's taking a giant step down this year. I genuinely believe that Stephon Diggs is falling off a cliff. I like Stephon Diggs under 900 yards so much.
Well, it's 974.5, so we got a little cushion. Fat Girls, you have your hand up. What's up?
I just want to say, too, somebody added way earlier in the space about that Stroud interceptions look. And I don't even think it's, if you want to be a mega disgusting contrarian, like if there's football reasoning you could put into that, just simply for going to the hardest, the easiest schedule last season to one of the hardest this year. So I think that's a good shot, too.
Yeah, it's not on here, so we can't really put it in, but I agree. All right, so I think that's good. I think that's a good start. We have one of our unders, so that's nasty. What other teams are in this fucking division? We got the Jags, we got the Texans, we pass on the Colts, which is hilarious, by the way. Every time we say Colts, Cam's money just magically fucking pops up like it's like an Instagram ad or something. Oh, DJ's talking about the Colts. Why don't you get in here? We're not going backwards. Like I tell my dog when we're walking, we're not going backwards. Titans. Listen, the only thing I really have on this, we talked about it with Pete, so we don't spend too much on it. I like Calvin Ridley under lower than touchdown receptions, 5.5. Do you guys want to put this in, or should we pass on anything Titans related? Just in case they're good.
I think that Calvin Ridley under is fucking air.
Greg, Steak.
I love it.
All right.
I do not fear the Tennessee Titans.
Okay.
Yeah.
The realistic. I don't know what the rest of your name is. What's up, realistic? Do you have something on in this division?
Hey, it's Snacks.
Oh, Snacks. What's up? I forgot you changed your name.
What's up, brother? Hey, what do you think about Trevor Lawrence over touchdown? I think it's like 22.5. Seems very low. They're coming off of a rough year, but it really only happened when they got hurt. Remember, they were 8-2, and they had all the injuries, and they kind of collapsed late. I really like the Jags this year. I think Lawrence is a sneaky over. I actually like him. DraftKings offers 30-plus touchdowns. I think he's like plus 480 for that, so I might play that as well. But just pitching that to you, I think he's going to have a big year.
I'm right there with you. I happen to lead the league in passing, 22-1 or something like that. I think it's moved down to 18-1. Touchdowns, sure. I don't know that I'm necessarily there, but at the same time, like I don't think they have like a crazy run game that would be a threat. If anybody else has any thoughts on it, I would do nothing but co-sign anything Trevor Lawrence related this season, and I know that Steak is heavy on the Jags. Greg likes him as well, so I think we'd all get down on that. And then on that note, I think you're a Ravens fan. Let's go to the AFC North, and we've been doing this for 2 hours, so we're going to do our best to tempo and pace it. I appreciate everybody hanging out, by the way, and contributing, and Steak and Greg, especially you guys. I know you got fucking kids and whatnot, so this is great. All right, Ravens. We got Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, Justin Matabuki. I think I actually said that correctly.
No, you didn't.
Okay. Matabuike.
Matabike.
All right, Snacks, go ahead. Do you have something you like on the Ravens? I know you're a fan.
Under Matabike sacks. I pitched this in Javon's stream yesterday.
Interesting.
9.25 is down, or started at 9.75, is down to 9. He had 13 last year and only had 8.5 in the first 3 years combined. They lost Clowney. They just don't have anybody on the outside to take attention away from Matabike. Now that he's gonna, he got his big deal. He's gonna be a focal point. of all offenses. I think he's going to get a lot of double teams, and I don't know if he's going to be able to fight through it. But that would be my top pick. And also with the Ravens, look at the Derrick Henry squares. They're all really low. I can't imagine anyone taking the under besides people like us.
Right.
Meaning the contrarians.
Right.
I don't see anybody lining up to take Derrick Henry under 950 yards.
I see 1,025.5 on Underdog, and then 10.5 rushing touchdowns, which I actually think
it's even lower. It's even lower on PrizePicks. I think it's 975.5.
Wow.
Something on PrizePicks, something like that. So
I like his touchdowns. I don't like his yards. Steak, what's up?
I don't like Derrick Henry anything.
Okay.
I don't. I think he's a really good pickup. I just don't think he's going to be used at the rate that people think he's going to be used in Baltimore. There's plenty of weapons. Obviously, I hope Keaton Mitchell is healthy because I think he's electric. I don't see it being him being a workhorse. He had 350 carries 2 years ago, and last year didn't miss any football games. He had 280 carries. That's a big workload drop off, and there's a reason because he's getting old. He had 25 carries in one game last year. 2 years ago, he had 25 carries in 6 games. There's a reason for that. And I understand Baltimore's a way better offensive line. They're going to be playing with the lead way more. I understand all the reasons. They have so many weapons.
Their offensive line isn't very good, brother.
So, is that like a myth about the Ravens?
Their O-line's not very good. I mean, they've got a lot of youth there. They're replacing.
I think they have 3 new guys. Yeah, 3 new starters.
You're making me like it even more because I feel like you just think of the Baltimore Ravens and you assume good offensive line.
I agree. And listen, I'm a Ravens fan, but I change my name to the realistic fan around this time of year every year. And it's because I think I understand the game and I treat things fairly. They have a brand new O-line. I don't feel confident about it. And I think the Henry squares are really low. And I think, like you said, I think that matters, right? Like, the reason these numbers are so low is because for some reason it's not going to hit. And I don't know what reason that is, but
all right.
might just be a stay away.
Yep. No, I like Henry under. I'm not going to put him in as of right now. By the way, we have a lot of lowers in this entry, but I'm good with Henry fading his yards. Dilly Daggers, do you have anything? And then let's move on to the Browns and Steelers in this division. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to have a discussion about Lamar pass yards real fast.
Sure.
I mean, maybe your numbers are different on Underdog, but he's up for around 3,300 on PrizePicks. And when you look at the receivers, you see Andrews at 800, you see Zay Flowers at 900. I mean, that's only 1,700 of the 3,300. So my point being is, why is that line so high with people like Nelson Aguilar and Rashad Bateman and Isaiah Likely as the other 3 big, not even big, somewhat capable in this offense for passing line?
So he's 34.50.5 on Underdog. Lamar Jackson over passing yards was a straight bet and in my PrizePicks entry last season. Big reason was for all of the weapons and Todd Monken's offense. For that reason, just for being on it last year, I'm out. I don't know that I really want to go against anything Lamar Jackson, but the one argument you could have is the offensive line is going to be probably suspect and shaky. So I'm not really into the Ravens this year. Personally, I think I want to fade them. I've been joking about talking John Harbaugh, first coach fired 50-1. Greg refuses to let me bet it. But yeah, I think there's going to be some turbulence. So I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you, but I'm not super into anything Ravens related. All right, Dilly Daggers disappeared. Okay, let's go to the Steelers. Let's go to the Steelers, and then we'll rapid fire the AFC. But at the same time, make sure we get it. Russell Wilson is up here. George Pickens, TJ Watt, Pat Freiermuth. I like Freiermuth receptions. I'm going to be on that straight. I did also like Jalen Warren touchdowns. He got injured, so he's off the board. I did not get my bet in. If he gets adjusted or something, I'll probably still play it, or I might just stay off. Najee Harris is up here too. Russell Wilson's passing yards, 27.50.5. Give me the lower. Any issues, or does anybody else in here, Steak, Greg, do you guys want to play? Any other players? By the way, I'm just going to keep us up here so we can move a little bit faster.
No, I would totally co-sign that because I don't understand how – I don't see a situation where they don't switch to Fields.
Okay. I agree.
At some point, or whoever starts, how they make a switch back. Like, they start out pretty, commonplace schedule, but it gets really tough late.
Right.
And I just don't think either of these guys is the guy. So no matter what, I don't see one of them playing a full season.
Okay. Steak, anything on the Steelers that you want to put in here, or do you want to stay away from this team entirely?
I guess I wonder how George Pickens doesn't have 925 and a half receiving yards. And keep in mind, all the lines I'm referencing are FanDuel, so
I don't know why you're not on Underdog.
I know why I'm not. I'm going to explain it. I'm either very stupid or they don't offer season long in Florida.
Yes, they do. You have to scroll to the right at the tabs at the top.
Are you sure that they offer season long in Florida?
No.
Because I don't know that I think they do. I've definitely looked.
Okay, so when you go in the app at the top, when it says like NFL and stuff like that, you have to scroll to the right.
Okay, we can do this later. We'll troubleshoot this later.
Okay. Okay.
Who's catching the balls if it's not George Pickens?
He's 1,010 and a half on Underdog. Who's catching the balls? Fryermuth is 525 and a half. That's it. They got Roman Wilson from Michigan. He's pretty good, but yeah, I'm with you. I'm out on anything passing related for the Steelers. I think it's all rushing if I'm betting on it.
Okay.
Okay. So Russell Wilson lower than 2750 and a half. Let's go to the Browns. What do we have in Cleveland here? We've got Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson, Myles Garrett, David Njoku, Jared Jeudy. I'm not really in on Jared Jeudy anything. I like Njoku, but I'm out on the Browns this year. I got him to miss the playoffs. I think I punched that in. I'm not 100% sure. Steep, juicy, minus 188. I think I got. That's a 2-unit play for me. I'm going to go ahead and stay off of this. Steak, Greg, you guys got anything on Cleveland?
Definitely. Greg, you want to go first?
No, go ahead.
Deshaun Watson under 32 or under passing yards. I'm not going to keep saying the number. Somebody just said in the chat that Florida doesn't allow season-long Underdog.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, it sucks. But Deshaun Watson under 32.50 is what I have on FanDuel. I'm assuming it's a touch higher on Underdog.
3,400.
It's been so many years since Deshaun Watson's looked like a competent quarterback. To me, he looks like a guy who got paid and stopped being the same guy. I have no idea if he can even play all 17 games. And even if he does, I don't know that I think he's going to hit that mark.
Right.
I think he might just stink, and that's why I'm with you on fading the Browns. I could see them finishing fourth in the division, and I definitely like his under passing yards.
Okay, I'm going to put that in here for now. Greg, did you have something on the Browns? You can say no. Okay.
Yeah, no, I got nothing.
Yeah, no. All right, that's going in there. Let's talk Bengals real quick. I'm just going to go right for the jugular here. Well, we got Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. I think I'm a Zach Moss guy this season. I think that's going to be my my sneaky little crown jewel of the running backs out there, with J.K. Dobbins being a close second. I know I'm betting on a guy to stay healthy who's never healthy, though. But I think Zach Moss is going to eat, and I think he's going to score touchdowns. I think that Burrow is going to be great. I think the Bengals are going to be great. I think they're going to get the ball down the field in various ways. But when it comes time to punch it in the end zone, give me Zach Moss 6.5 rushing TDs. I like the higher than on this. Do you guys want it in there? Please tell me no, by the way. I can take it. We got a lot of things we like so far. Tell me no if you don't like it. All right.
Don't have anything against it.
Okay. All right. Greg's not telling me anything. Fine. It's going in there. All right. Let's go to, let's see. We did the AFC South, AFC North. We have 2 more divisions. Let's go over, you know what? On J.K. Dobbins' note, let's go to the AFC West. I'm going to go to the Chargers. I'm out on the Chargers this year. I'm going to take their under win total. What's the underdog rule for games played? Moss is losing touches to Browns. Phil Zutley says, yeah, but Brown's not going to be a red zone guy. Moss is going to be the bowling ball back there. I don't know his exact measurements or how big he is, but I don't think Chase Brown doesn't look like a guy who's going to get in there when the ball's inside the 10. Justin Herbert, Ladd McConkey, and Josh Palmer. What a bunch of motherfuckers. You can't get anything J.K. Dobbins. You could barely find anything running back related for the Chargers on any book. Palmer, 700.5 receiving yards. How does he not go over? Who is Herbert throwing the ball to? Lad, 750.5. Lad's going to go off, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And I think the fact that he's already higher than Josh Palmer tells you what you need to know.
Oh, my God.
Big part of the offense. I really like Lad.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. Herbert is 3,600.5 passing yards. I don't really think that we need to get involved with Herbert. So maybe, if anything, Lad McConkey receiving. Maybe.
I love it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I love it.
Greg?
I think he could be, you know what I think.
All right, I'm going to put that in there for now. This is thick, but that's okay. It can be thick. All right, let's go to the Broncos real quick. We don't like anything Broncos related, do we? Bo Nix, touchdowns, yards, 2850, 16.5. Javonte Williams, 645.5. Cortland Sutton. I am out on the Broncos. We're not going to put anything in there, are we? Say no. Everybody's saying
no, but I'll say this. Okay, this is really stupid, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I watched the 10 top catches of the 2023 season on NFL Network, and Cortland Sutton had 3 of them. And it kind of got me thinking about Cortland Sutton, especially now that Jerry Jeudy's gone. I feel like Cortland Sutton is underrated. I really do. So if there's any Bronco in the world I'd want to attack, it might be him, but I don't want to put him in the entry at all.
I love Cortland Sutton. Greg, do you remember that wager that we had? Cortland Sutton over 100-plus yards for 4 units, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next year, I lost all of it betting his yards and touchdowns over.
Love Cortland Sutton. Okay. All right. That is a funny angle, though. By the way, I see guys are requesting. I'm trying to make it to the end here through these teams quickly, and then I'll get you guys up. So if Steak and Greg got to go, they can. So just hang tight. All right. Let's go to the Raiders. Devontae Adams, receiving TD, 6.5, receiving yards, 1,100. Brock Bowers could be cheeky, or Zamir White. I don't like anything Raiders related. So I'm gonna vote to stay off. Do you guys like anything?
I think it's time for Devontae Adams to fall off a cliff with Stephon Diggs, personally.
Okay.
I don't like Devontae Adams. I think his run being top 5 wide receiver in the NFL is coming to a close. And I like under yards for Devontae Adams.
Okay.
And I do absolutely believe Brock Bowers will be very good, but I don't know if I'm attacking him on a season long this year.
Yep. We have somebody that said Zamir White is trash. Larry Beeman in the Twitch chat. Yeah, I like Brock Bowers. I bet him. I thought the Titans were going to draft him. I think he's going to be great. I just didn't understand the Raiders going back-to-back tight end with their first-round pick. Greg, I'm going to assume if you don't come off mute, I'm just going to assume you don't have anything.
The only thing I would even catches my eye is, and somebody spoke the opposite of it, but I like Zamir White's touchdowns over. I think they're just going to feed this guy like crazy.
4.5.
Yeah, so that'd be the only thing I would get behind on this.
Okay.
But I'm not highly convicted to it.
Here's what we have so far, just so you're aware, because we're going to come down to the last division in the AFC. We have Evan Ingram higher than 3.5 receiving touchdowns. We have Stephon Diggs lower than receiving yards. We have Calvin Ridley lower than receiving touchdowns. Russell Wilson lower than passing yards. Zach Moss higher than 6.5 rushing touchdowns. Watson lower than passing yards. Lad McConkey higher than receiving yards. Let's go to the Chiefs. A lot of players you can bet on here with the Chiefs. Marquise Brown, get the fuck out of here. Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco. Somebody said they like rushing touchdowns for Pacheco. I forget who in the beginning of the stream. I'm not against that at all. Pat Mahomes is a dog. Xavier Worthy or Chris Jones sacks. Nobody on the Chiefs really does it for me. They're probably going to be very good. They're probably going to win, 11, 12, 13 games and win the Super Bowl again. Do I want them in my season entry? Not really. How about you guys? Doesn't sound like you do either.
I like Pacheco. I like Pacheco multiple ways. I like his rushing yards and his touchdowns.
You do like the touchdowns?
I'm not trying to figure out the Chiefs receiver room.
Okay.
I just not doing that.
That's fine. I'll put it in here for now. Jets. Let's go to the Jets. Steak, do we have to put Garrett Wilson receiving yards in here? It's 25.5.
I mean, yeah, he's going over that.
Okay. We've reached the max number amount for this entry. All right. Well, we'll have to trim the list if we need to. Mike Williams, Breece Hall, Tyler Conklin, Hassan Reddick, sacks, and Aaron Rodgers. If it's the Jets, if anybody from the Jets is coming in here, it's Garrett Wilson receiving yards, and that's that. Let's go to the Dolphins. We got Tyreek Hill, 9.5 receiving yards. Good God. 1,435 receiving yards. Tua, 4,100 receiving yards, 25.5 passing touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, no. Jalen Waddle, 1,000 receiving yards. Devon Achane, 7.5 rushing touchdowns, 775.5 rushing yards. And Odell Beckham is absolutely not coming in here. It would be Devon Achane rushing yards for me. Otherwise, if anybody else has something that they want for the Dolphins, speak now.
I like nothing Dolphins related.
Okay, fuck it. Ramondre Stevenson. I want to fade Stevenson. I might do it straight. He's at 750.5 rushing yards. I mean, look, if you're playing against the Patriots, all you have to do is stop the run and force Drake May to beat you, and he can't. He can't do that. Hunter Henry and Demario Douglas. Anybody on the Patriots want to fade anyone? Feel free. I would go Stevenson under. If not, we can move on.
Good with Stevenson under, but I'm not buying Drake May starting. I'll be clear on that.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jacoby Brissett. Okay, Bills. We got Josh Allen, Keon Coleman, Dalton Kincaid. I'm a James Cook guy. The problem is I don't really know the best way to play James Cook. I like all-purpose yards. You can't do that on Underdog. I imagine maybe you can do it straight. Maybe 950.5 rushing yards. I do like that, actually. I do think they're going to run the ball a lot more. I like James Cook rushing yards, 5.5 rushing touchdowns. So if I'm doing anything, we can't fit any of these in our entry. We can talk about what we want to remove. It would be James Cook rushing or Garrett Wilson receiving. Do you guys agree on that?
Yes. Is there no Khalil Shakir on Underdog?
There is not.
Okay. I'm good with that. Also, I would want to mention I'm not buying Keon Coleman. I'm buying Khalil Shakir heavily.
Okay.
But not buying Keon Coleman this year. Maybe he'll be good, but I don't think it's going to be this year right off the bat.
Okay. James Cook rushing. Do you like that or no?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 entries right now. I would like to get Garrett Wilson in here. Do you think we should, or do you think we should just keep with what we have? I'll run it back again. You know what? I'm going to take Calvin Ridley lower than 5.5 receiving touchdowns out. Either that or Zach Moss.
I support taking either one of those out. You pick one, but I absolutely think we need Garrett Wilson in there.
Okay.
I support unders over overs, if that makes sense.
It does. It does. So I'm going to keep Watson lower than receiving yards then. You guys like that?
Watson under passing yards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
You know I like that.
Okay, how about this? We have 2 quarterback lower thans. We have Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson. Who should we keep? We should take one of them out.
I like what you were doing earlier when you said take out Zach Moss or Calvin Ridley.
So you want to keep both of them in there? We're fading both 2 quarterbacks in the same division.
I get what you're saying. You can't talk me off Deshaun Watson. I'll say that much.
Okay, Greg, you good with both of those too? I'm going to take Zach Moss and Ridley out of here, and I'm going to put Garrett Wilson in here. Let's see what that does. Garrett Wilson higher than. All right. We're going to keep Evan Ingram in here out of courtesy for Hovey. I like it. 3.5 touchdowns higher than. Stephon Diggs lower. That's nasty. I like that. Ladd McConkey higher. We're sure we want that. I think both of you guys really like that. Pacheco rushing TDs higher than. I mean, that sounds good. Garrett Wilson, and then Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson under. That's what we have right now. Is that what we want to go with? The seven entry?
I actually love it. I really do. I like it more than the other one.
Okay. All right. I'm putting it in for 100 bones. 100 pays 4,000. 7. Oh, it's a flex too. So if we get 6 correct, we get $275. That's not going to go 7 for 7 here. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was great. I'm going to get Cam's money. Landon, Steak, and Greg, you guys have been here for 2.5-ish hours. Feel free to hop off anytime. Real quick, just so we go in order. Easy, you were, I think, waiting the longest to request to speak. So we'll start with you. It looks like you might be having some trouble connecting. If that's the case, just log out and log back in. Cam is money. Yeah, I think easy is not. It's not going to work. Try to log out and log back in. Cam, what's up?
Yeah, I just want to recircle on one you guys were talking about earlier, Courtland Sutton. When I look at Courtland Sutton this year, the wide receiver room, Tim Patrick, who I think is a dog, he's coming off back-to-back years of tearing his ACL. They have Marvin Mims, that tiny body, speedy wide receiver guy. Troy Franklin, their 4th-round wide receiver. It looks like they're going to
almost give him like a redshirt year this year. You know, Benjamin Albright, their reporter and stuff, is talking about he hasn't done anything in the preseason. Man, I think Cortland Sutton, you know, I think it's going to be, you know, we know how high I am on Bo Nix. Sean Payne, I think we're just going to get like a Michael Thomas-like role with Sutton. I think 800 yards is very disrespectful, and I think that's a line he clears pretty easily this year. I just think he's going to have an insane target rate this year. And, you know, we looked at their win total, they're at 5.5 wins, which is that's going over in my opinion. But 5.5 win total tells me they're going to be throwing a lot. A lot of games are playing from behind, so I think Sutton goes over that 800 yards pretty easily.
Wow. Well, I don't have a problem making a separate entry, but you like Cortland Sutton. Yeah, I thought that was interesting. An interesting take on backing Cortland Sutton. I'm very pro Cortland Sutton in all things. I think he's a great player. I just don't know that I really care for the Broncos, but it's a new day in Denver, and it's one without Russell Wilson, which I can support. Landon, before we go to you, let's see what Easy had to say. Easy was requesting a long time ago. Easy, what's up?
Yo. I was just going to say Keon Coleman is the guy that I think is going to step up in Buffalo. And someone has to be like the Stephon Diggs target share. And him and Gabe Davis both left. And he's just the biggest guy over there, 6'4", and he's fast. He had 11 touchdowns and I think like 12 games at Florida State last year. So he's just a big body that I think is going to take up all the targets.
Okay, fair enough. I'm pro Keon Coleman. Loved him at Florida State. Got him on my fantasy team, and I'm pro Bills. So, good with that. Landon, what's up? What are you into?
I'm not too big into the props. One for sure that I love, since you're big on the underdog and season props at the moment. Ezekiel Elliott, 5.5 touchdowns.
There's no way you actually like that.
Yeah, well, there's the reason why. I mean, the Cowboys are going to get on the goal line, and they're going to give him the ball 2, 3, maybe 4 times. He's a big body. The running back room is very small. I mean, you've seen Deuce Vaughn, Rico Dowdle. They're just Ezekiel Elliott is a big body. He's getting in the end zone 5.5 times. They're going to be feeding him in the red zone. Couple of book plays I like. Dallas Cowboys 17-1 to win the Super Bowl. Not enough people are talking about it. There's
Can't do that. Can't do it. Can't do it. Just can't do it. No disrespect. I just can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. All right. It's been great. 2 hours and 29 minutes. We've gone on Twitch, YouTube, Twitter Space. It's been great. It's been fun. Thank you to everybody who contributed. Kyle, I saw you were in here and you wanted to come up. If you have something, feel free. If you want to do the next one, that's also fine. We are wrapping up, but I'm more than happy to hear if you've got something you want to pitch. Don't feel obligated though. All right. On that note, just again, if you're just following and if you're late, we are. Listen, I'm a sides and totals guy, but I am dabbling a little bit here and there with Underdog. There's no Prize Picks in New York, which is where I'm located. And I do very much enjoy these season-long props. And again, just my spiel for that is you kind of, how I phrase it is you kind of limit your degeneracy. I'm not endorsing parlays as being smart bets because they're not. I do take a lot of straight bets, but you tie up a lot of capital. So with these types of wagers, you are always invested. You've got some skin in the game. You've got a sweat, which is what I love to do it for. And it's low risk. So I am on a unit on a 5 or 6 man entry for the NFC and a unit on the AFC. And I believe combined, I have 12 or 13 players every weekend that I am betting on. I think that makes sense. No Underdog nobody has told me to say that, by the way. Those are my own words. And I feel like you have to come out and you have to defend yourself anytime you do these types of things because people just love to fucking bash you for going corp. That is not the case. So anyways, if you do want to sign up, Underdog, promo code DGen, you get a deposit match up to $250. I am, let's see, I'm going to probably dabble a little bit here and there with baseball, although I am winding down totally in baseball. I'm going to try to go out on the highest note possible. It's been a grind of a season. I have enjoyed every second of it. But the Rays are bringing me not much joy in general, although they did just sweep the Diamondbacks, which was great. And it's very, very challenging baseball. It's a grind to make it through the summer. There's so many. You can have your good reads. There's 100 different ways to play it. You pick the wrong one. It's an absolute motherfucker. But I am investing all of my time now that I have for sports betting into research for college, and which we started on today on the board review. We did the ACC. It was about a 2-hour stream. I think we did 2-hour stream. Look at that. 2-hour stream in a 2.5-hour space. Isn't that fucking something? I am gassed. Not to mention for 4 hours, I had to go actually fucking work and talk to other people. I need to drink some tea. I need anybody recommendations for vocal cords. My throat hurts. My tonsils hurt. Don't turn that into what I think you're going to turn that into. By the way, probably somebody will do that. Maybe I should say pause to clear myself of any accusations. So I'm going to shut it down. We will we'll pick it up tomorrow. Let's see. I'm going to probably start early. I cannot go very long on the board review. I think I have to stop. I have a hard stop at 11:30. I'm going to start at 10. We're going to do the same thing we did with the ACC. We're going to do, I think, tomorrow with the Big Ten. So I'm looking forward to dabbling with that. I have some notes. Here are the notes that I have on the Big Ten. Stuck out to me. Michigan State, 4.5 over was minus 155. Wisconsin, maybe everybody was a year early on Wisconsin. Iowa, I'm not going to get involved with. Maryland under juice significantly. Nebraska is going to be an interesting team. And the heaviest price you have to pay for anything over or under that I saw when I was looking at lines, UCLA under 5.5 wins. Are they going to be fucking terrible? We will find out tomorrow on the board review. If you want to subscribe to the YouTube and the Twitch page so you can watch it, the links are in my bio. Thank you again, everybody. Steak, mid-major, as always. Cam for coming up here. Fat Girls, Hovey. I'm probably missing some people, but thank you. Mid-major Matt, by the way, is a W contributor, as always. Very, very smart individual. And he had a feature right up in the newsletter, thedegenerateweekly.com. Subscribe to it. He is on the Bills over. I am in on the Bills. More specifically, I like James Cook. And Steak is, I think Steak's just going with the Bills over wins. And Greg, for whatever reason, he just loves banging his head against the wall, is going to take Josh Allen MVP, I think, for the 3rd time in a row. Although it's probably better than doing Kirk Cousins, which I may or may not have done at some point in the a couple years ago, starting with the Mike Zimmer last season. So anyways, it's been fun. Thank you. Have a great night. Good luck on all your bets. And I'll post these entries if you want to tail them here whenever we hang up. And I hope you have a great night. All right. Goodbye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for hanging out. Have a great night. I am fucking gassed. Enjoy yourselves. I'll talk to you later. Peace.